But I wanted to do hood rat stuff for my friend. But I wanted to do hood rat stuff for my friend.
Bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
What is poppin', people? Welcome back to the Ill Cartel. I am your host, Shy Ill, and we are back in the building, all right? Salute to y'all on this lovely hump day evening. We're going to hang out and,
But I wanted to do hood rat stuff for my friend.
do her rat stuff with our friends, all right? Salutes. We're having a little technical issues. It doesn't seem like it's my end. I don't know if it's the internet in the neighborhood, but salutes. What is popping to y'all, all right? Y'all let me know if we all good in the chat, and we'll take it from there. It seems like we're back on track over here, so I'm not tripping. But it said the server was down. All I had was the spinning wheel of death over there, over and over. But y'all let me know in the chat if we gravy, and if we gravy, we keep it moving. Salutes to y'all. Welcome to the Ill Cartel. Day one of the rebranding. The name of this channel is no longer Shy Ill Reacts. It is now the Ill Cartel. Just to keep the theme of ill films, ill crimes, all of that good stuff. Head Kick Shy, the Ill Network. And to not get lumped in with just, a bunch of reaction channels. I think we do a whole lot more than just reactions at this channel. So with that said, here we are. We'll see how the algorithm treats us in the next couple of weeks. As you can see, we're pumping out content on a regular basis. Well, this week we are. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to keep that ball rolling. It's just a lot of things. And if you knew, if I was able to list them, you'd be like, that's some Superman shit you're pulling off over there. But I can't list them. But I appreciate y'all. I thank y'all for hanging out. Let me get the TTS up in the chat from the homie, the Nightbot. Bow. Nightbot has been the most, reliable source for, resource that we've been using around here. Let me pin that to the top. All right, boom. Pin that. Yeah. See, so that same thing also sent me a text with an image of a blank screen. But again, I don't know if that one was on me. I know they were doing work in the neighborhood on the internet because they kept keeping me updated on that. But I don't know whose fault that was. If it was my fault, their fault, whatever it was. It is what it is. We here now. Hope everybody getting that money this week, right? Again, I've been here trying to make improvements to the system. You know, a lot of things need to be cleaned up and separated and organized. I'm working on all of that. I'm trying to keep this engine running. I'm trying to get the other channels some attention paid to them. We're putting out a lot more shorts, all of that good stuff. So your boy been busy. This is a very impromptu live. I was gonna hold off until Friday, but I figured we do a little in vivo today and hang out for a little bit. All right. Also said his shit ain't going. Close out the app and try now. Again, I don't know whose fault that was, but you know. All right, salute. Shout out Shannon for being first. Salute Zoraida, appreciate you. New week equals rebranding, leveling up. Salutes. Don't forget to drop your like. All right. Salutes to everybody that came through and hit that like button. Y'all hit that like button, and we move forward. All right. Let me see. Oh, they didn't put my likes back here, man. Let me see. How could y'all take the likes away from me? Oh, no, they didn't. I think I got it right here. Yeah. Oh, no. You guys out of pocket. Hit that like button on the way in. All right, way more people here than we got likes. Let's hit that like button on the way in. I know El Tubo's making things difficult. I think we're all good now. Let's get Oso back in the building and we gravy. Salute Zoraida. Salute Shannon. Shout out JP. I don't know why he retracted his message. Let's get back down here. Salute 323G. We got an APB out on 298. All right, somebody find 298. Yeah. Shout out Alter Ego. Looks like El Tubo's doing heavy maintenance right now. I will say this. They've been pushing out a lot of updates. They've been pushing out a lot of new shit. They pushed out the horizontal and vertical at the same time live stream. But that is technical hell right now because you can't adjust, the screen in the vertical. But they're doing a lot of shit. And I guess it's, it's affecting things. We're also seeing numbers on people's names like we did before. On some of the names. I noticed that yesterday. Shout out JP. YouTube doxing everyone. All right, but again, we're gonna figure it out from here. All right. Shout out Zoraida. Shout out 323G. JP. My brother Oso. Ronzo the Alter Ego. Appreciate you, sir. We put out an APB on you recently, but you let it be known you was getting that money. Millions. That fucking money, man. All right. YouTube doxing, they giving out
too much information and shit.
Too much information. All right. Shout out Raven on the check-in. Salutes to you. I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. See something. No, not that. This. Boom. All right. Again, impromptu live, but we gonna hang out today. Got a couple of things to cover. YouTube handles hitting different. Oh, yeah. No, they'll put your whole shit out there, man. Every number. Again, APB out on 298. And, damn. Alter Ego screenshot game tight. You, compiling evidence, man? You getting the dossier together and shit? I think it felt like it was a Tuesday early in the premiere, and you went with it. Until I just checked, it was Wednesday and corrected myself. Yeah, you gotta relax, man. You almost came in this motherfucker on some Stone Cold shit. Alright? You almost came in here on some Stone Cold shit, making declarations and shit. And you would have been wrong. I'd have sent you off to go get your fucking
Go home and get your fucking shine box.
You know what I mean? Alright, JP Wildin'. Alter Ego over here compiling evidence, man. Getting all that information, man.
Too much information and shit.
Man. Victor Fuentes. All right, boom. Did I let the Discord know? Let me make sure I let the Discord know we popping. All right, we on. I think El Tubo figured it out, so we chilling. All right. Let's see what we're doing here. But again, salute to y'all. I appreciate y'all for being here. And I'm gonna hit this recording. Hit this other one. Alter Ego better than Batman. Alter Ego got that shit. That shit that Morgan Freeman's character had to destroy and shit, where he was using every cell phone to listen and to map out the topography of the city. He got everybody business in the dossier and shit. He on it today. El Tubo showed a kink in the armor, and Alter Ego fucking crawled right in that motherfucker. Pause. Alright, salutes. Alright, so for those that were here today for the premiere, I premiered a video about a confiscated super truck, right? A confiscated, improvised, armored vehicle. All right, we know they're notorious for snatching up tourist 4x4s in Mexico, taking them back to the crib, getting the welder out, getting out some steel, and putting together these armored vehicles. We discussed how those F-150s and F-450s or whatever, they're basically golden in Mexico for these guys, right? And sometimes you'll hear that there's a whole bunch of them out there, and you'll see them, right? You'll see these armored vehicles. And I said, well, you might have to have a sleeping government in order to build a fucking parade of these armored vehicles. I can't think of just having armored vehicles and just pulling them out on the road in Chicago and not ending up getting the whole neighborhood blown to bits. You know what I mean? And what do we always think of? We think of the corruption alongside, or on the inside of the Mexican government, right? Well, I hypothesized a sleeping government. They're not paying attention. You make these cars, right? There's only one thing that can surpass that. The government making the cars they damn self. Today we're going to cover a Mexican mayor's husband who evidently is a mechanic of these kind of vehicles and building these kind of Terminator trucks. You know what I mean? So we on the trail. We right up in they shit. Right? Salutes.
But I wanted to do hood rat stuff with my friend.
Shout out Velez on the check-in. Salutes. Shout out Shannon. I'm sporting my other number. No, they got everybody's numbers on blast today, man. I want to know what those numbers mean. Are these fucking pin codes and shit, huh? Alter Ego. Put them all in the database. Put them in the fucking dossier. Terminator truck. Shout out J-Fam on the check-in. Appreciate you, sir. Thank you for coming through. Let's take a look at this armored truck that I was talking about in today's video. Make sure y'all check that out. As a matter of fact, I'll drop the link for that in here, so y'all can check that out on your own time. Where's that? Bow. Boom. There we go. Paste that. Let's take a look at this armored truck. No, maybe I had to get it from the Discord. Or I'm gonna end up pulling it from my own video and shit. Armored truck. Where's the armored truck? Alright, I'm just gonna click my shit. Y'all can see my thumbnail view of that shit. Let's see. All right, boom. So it looked like that. That's basically exactly what it looked like. Okay. And again, you got to reinforce that shit. You got to strengthen the load. That's a whole lot of ass for that chassis to carry. You know, that chassis. So you gotta be an engineer, man. You gotta be a magician of sorts to handle your business. Being a mechanic, the mechanic that gets paid to do this. Think about it. There's somebody that get paid for everything. All right. Somebody get paid for building the tunnels. Somebody get paid for doing the electricity in the tunnel. Somebody get paid to build the truck. Somebody get paid to source the tires. Like, it's an ecosystem. It's an economic ecosystem of fuckery, and they lead to that truck right there. Now, let's get into it. Go back here. Thought this shit is funny. That we said, man, the government got to be asleep. They building these damn Terminator trucks right under everybody's nose, right? Again, shout out J-Fan. Dubo's tweaking. Too much fucking information.
Too much information and shit.
Yeah. Alter Ego is cross-referencing chat names. He's checking them. He's checking all of them as pin numbers through every social media network and site that you could imagine right now. You see, he's not in the chat no more. He's out there number crunching at this moment. So let me see what the fuck Zoradas 032 is all about. That's what he's on right now. It's in the dossier. Let's get it. The husband of former mayor of Maurice was the mechanic who up-armored stolen vehicles.
No mommy's wait.
The mayor's husband? Come on, man. We was hoping it was just, homeboy up the block. He's a mechanic. He do his thing. We was just joking when we said the government got to be asleep. But y'all weren't asleep. You had to wake up early to go be a mechanic, man. So the government wasn't sleeping on this. The government was sleeping with this. All right? The mayor was sleeping with the mechanic that was doing these things. Or is doing these things. Who knows? All right? Shout out Big June on the check-in. Boom. See? June got a different name and numbers. This ain't the first time. This happened recently. I send mine. Salute to everyone in the chat. Salute to you, sir. Shout out J-Fan Victor Fuentes, man.
Bullshit.
Distract the people while you pull off the fuckery. J-Fan got the best number at the end of his name. Salutes. Right. Let's get it. According to official information, Diego Camargo Perla was the alleged leader of the gang of hammermen who ambushed state agents on October 7th. Okay, so he's not just a mechanic, or are we talking about somebody else right here? During the morning press conference held by the state Public Security Secretariat, it was reported that Diego CP, husband of former Maurice Mayor Perla Lopez, who was arrested last Wednesday as part of the operation stemming from the ambush of members of the corporation, was identified as the mechanic who altered stolen vehicles. It was also, so he's the leader. He's the guy he's the mechanic. He's the leader, the ganga. He's all of that shit. He's the he's the mayor's husband. All of that. It was also revealed that Diego up-armored these vehicles, leaving them ready to block bullets in the event of a confrontation. According to the official information, Diego was alleged leader of the gang of hammermen who ambushed state agents on October 7th, leaving 3 police officers unalived and 7 wounded. These news outlets love repeating things, one line to the next to get an extra click, put an extra page on the story. Diego and the other 8 detainees, including a woman, were brought before a supervisory judge last Sunday. Their detention was declared lawful, and they were placed under preventive detention. Over the past 5 days, a force consisting of 230 personnel and 75 units has been deployed in coordination with the state investigation agency, the state's attorney general's office, the Ministry of National Defense, and the National Guard to conduct tactical patrols and breaches in towns. The operation also included support from a Bell 429 helicopter, 4 drones, and 80 video surveillance cameras installed at smart monitoring points, ensuring comprehensive aerial and ground coverage throughout the area. AKA, they was on their ass. I mean,
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
took everybody ass to jail.
You're stealing, right to jail. You're playing music too loud, right to jail, right away. You're driving too fast, jail. Slow, jail.
Everybody was straight to jail, man. No games. Knock this down over here. Bow. So they got snatched up. They used helicopters to get these fools, cameras, all of the above. As a result of these actions, 17 vehicles were seized this weekend, several of which had been reported stolen, had altered serial numbers and homemade armor plating, some bearing high-caliber firearm impacts and insignia alluding to criminal groups. Right. Where is this at? Where was this at? Maurice. So it's not related to the story, but it's related in what it is. It's a Terminator truck. All right? It's a Predator truck. It's a big savage truck, and this dude, the mayor of the husband's mayor, is building that shit. All right, now we've seen many videos of people pulling up to checkpoints in Mexico, getting their 4x4 snatched up. They either lose their lives or, whatever it is. And we've seen some get away. We've reacted to dash cam footage of a dude that pulled a move on their ass and hit the U-turn on them and got away. But it is an everyday thing. And when you see those long lines of these Bartels going from place to place, and you see these long lines of cars that are all armored up, there's a tourist got a story behind that if they're alive. It is what it is. Shout out Zoraida, the numbers aren't mathing. I'm guilty of it before. Forget to hit the like button. Don't forget, hit that like button, y'all, because it is looking grave over there. Shout out Ace G on the check-in. I appreciate you. Salute. Thank you for being here. We just hanging out.
But I wanted to do hood rat stuff with my friend.
Shout out JP. Don't them trucks look like that expensive Hercules truck by Rasvati, or am I wilding? I don't even know who that is. I don't even know what truck you're talking about. See, we don't even know who Mr. Joshua is. Excuse me for all your names coming up in here. That's YouTube's issue right there. But all your names are coming up with numbers, and it's definitely not that. It's your handles. It's not your names that are coming up, basically. What happens when I do something in here? Especially with the name change. One more. Yeah, you see? Hit that like button. It instantly went up. All right, let's see what happens here. Yeah, see, my handle comes up. So this is everybody's handle that's coming up and not the name of their channel. Yuck TV. Shout out Yuck TV on the check-in. I appreciate you. Thank you for coming to hang out. Have you lived if you haven't done hood rat stuff with your friends? Absolutely not, man. You got
But
to.
I wanted to do hood rat stuff with my friend.
And the definition of hood rat varies. It ain't what it used to be. Shorty changed the definition. He just wanted to do hood rat stuff with his friends. He took his grandmama's car, he ran it up and down the block. What he say? He want to smoke cigarettes with his friends. It's unfortunate because Shorty lived a rough life. I believe he's locked up now. I don't know if he's home yet. Dude was putting everyone info out. We have no privacy anyway. Just be careful and not have your full name on your handle. Here's the thing. When you do, isn't your handle displayed on your channel right underneath your channel name? I believe it's still there. So don't fuck up. Put the Bitcoin code up there. You fuck around, end up with an empty wallet. But yeah, you ain't really lived unless you done some hood rat shit. So let's talk about the vehicles that were seized. A black Ford Super Duty with homemade armoring and altered serial numbers. 2023 Ford Super Duty with homemade armoring and altered serial numbers. 2023 Ford Super Duty with homemade armoring and altered serial numbers. 2023 Ford Super Duty with homemade armoring and altered serial numbers. 2023 Ford Super Duty with homemade armoring and altered serial numbers. 2023 Ford Super Duty with homemade armoring and altered serial numbers. 2023 Ford Super Duty with homemade armoring and altered serial numbers. 2023 Ford Super Duty with homemade armoring and altered serial numbers. 2023 Ford Super Duty with homemade armoring and altered serial numbers. 2023 Ford Super Duty with homemade armoring and altered serial numbers. 2023 Ford Super Duty with homemade armoring and altered serial numbers. 2023 Ford Super Duty with homemade armoring and altered serial numbers. 2023 Ford Super Duty with homemade armoring and altered serial numbers. 2023 Ford Super Duty with homemade armoring and altered serial numbers. 2023 A black Chevy Silverado reported stolen in May 2024 in New Mexico. See, that's another racket. That's another guy's job. Who's the guy that's going to snatch all the whips here, put them in a truck, get them over the border? A white 2019 GMC Sierra with altered serial numbers. A black 2023 Jeep Gladiator stolen in May 2024 in Dallas, Texas. This is a lot of Texas. These fools ain't just stealing cars in Mexico. 2024 Ram 1500 TRX reported stolen in January 2024 in Arlington, Texas. A Mexican Suzuki stolen in November 2022 in Sonora. A red Mexican Chevrolet Silverado. They got Mexican Chevrolet Silverados? Really?
No, mommy's
What
wake.
the fuck is he talking about? Damn, a red Mexican. Oh no, I didn't even notice the Mexican Suzuki. Damn, it's like a Mexican Coca and shit. Hit that like button, y'all. A red Mexican Chevrolet Silverado stolen in March 2024 in Sonora. A white Mexican Ford F-450 flatbed reported stolen in Sonora. A 2022 Cadillac Escalade reported stolen in June 2025 in Socorro, Texas. A gray 2022 Ford F-250. Like, just leave the Fords with the numbers and the Fs on them. Just leave them shits at the dealership if you live out west somewhere. Because, coño, man, they're going to turn your shit into a cartel Hummer and shit. Some Silverados aren't sold here. Mexico has their own factories. J-Fan said you can't see that unless you modded though. Oh, I didn't realize that. Salutes. Mexico got their own whips. They got their own Coca-Cola too. Glass bottle, man. White Ford Super Duty with red stripes, armored and with altered serial numbers. Gray Ram pickup reported stolen December 2022 in Sonora. Gray Ford F-150 Platinum 2022 Sonora. Blue Lincoln Navigator reported stolen in El Paso. Yeah, and here's the thing. Everybody owns those trucks in Texas. Your shit a tank somewhere. And here I am thinking that the government is sleeping, not paying attention to these dudes building tanks. It's all their husbands in the mechanic shop with the welder's mask on. Oh, check her out. Right? Former Maurice Mayor Perla. I don't know if they fucked up her name, but it could be Gacela or Graciela. Gacela Lopez Perez. Huh? You was caught up you was in the mix, lady. And there he is, Diego Camargo. Perla Lopez, former municipal president of Maurice. She was president twice with the support of the 500 Aguila, money launderer, in charge of the businesses they have in Chihuahua and close ties to Governor Maru Campos. Governors is in it too. Has anybody seen El Rocha?
Oye, ¿y el Rocha? ¿Y el Rocha? Bueno, ¿y el Rocha?
For those that don't know, El Rocha is the alleged crooked governor with ties to the chapiza that allegedly, was in on the snatching of Yoma. All right, we use code words around here because El Tubo censors this channel much more than the other channels in our same sphere. But there they are. That's the mechanic right there. He was building them heavy Chevys. And she was, running the city. Who's this fucking guy looking all creepy and shit, man? That's him? Camargo Perla has been accused on multiple occasions of having direct links to Ever Jose Gonzalez Buernas El Aguila, okay, the regional leader of the Nuevo Cartel de Juarez in Maurice. Okay, that explains it. Yeah, you gotta be working for somebody. That's a crazy picture right there, though. Oh, so this is that guy? Okay. I never heard that name before, ever. Ever Jose Gonzalez Born. That sounds like some CIA shit. That's a whole nother movie right there. The Born, Identidad. It's crazy. Or these Chihuahua. Authors know all 9 members arrested belong to the criminal group La Línea. I guess it's La Línea. Mexico has its own almost everything. That's why the Mexican president keeps telling Trumpito to stay in his lane. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see him. I mean, he stays and then he doesn't stay, and then we'll see. But there it is, man. Again, you don't have these things happening everywhere without powerful people being involved, and those powerful people ain't just criminals. They have jobs. They have jobs. They have titles. They have, desks, secretaries, and assistants. Chefs, wives, and mechanic husbands that run gangs and shit. So the day that you see guys with improvised vehicles, in these major cities in the United States, no, we got a problem, because Mexico definitely got a fucking problem. They definitely got a problem. And those vehicles are, there's they catch 1 or 2 here and there. There's plenty of those vehicles out there, man. When the shit go down, they got trucks, bro. There's no weeks off of snatching vehicles. Whips is getting snatched in every state every day. You know what I mean? Shout out J-Fan. Welcome to a dictatorship, indeed. Boy, I ain't seen legislation in a long time. Legislation seems like a thing of the past. All I've seen is executive orders for the last who knows how long. Right. Shout out JP. Zeb's live last night got hit by a tubo out of nowhere over the title. But what was the title? The title was what? They were breaking down that Ellen Greenberg shit, no? Or am I missing something? Why did tubo come after them? Yeah, the tubo doxed everybody today. Put your information out there.
Oh, too much information and shit.
Information and shit, man. Just for fun. But there it is, man. There it is. Just so you could see the level of person that could be behind these things that are happening, that we look at and we say, oh my God. Everybody's appalled. Oh my God, they got tanks. They got armored vehicles. Yeah, the mayor's husband made that shit. Not the dude down the street that you terrified of walking past his mechanic shop. No, man. It's the boss of the ganga and shit. It's crazy. It's crazy. So again, the government wasn't asleep on the job. They was doing the job. Oh, mama's wait.
No, mommy's wait.
YouTube putting out too much info. Shout out Shannon. CJ and G was rolling through Chi-Town. Chi-Town gone batshit crazy. They've been here, Shannon. They've been here for years. Talk to Oso about it. Also see them license plates. You see those license plates in the city? La neta ya valió madre. Chinga su madre ya valió. I mean, but yeah, no, Chi-Town been batshit crazy, but it's beautiful and amazing all at the same time. This country's batshit crazy. And maybe, just maybe this country would get on those problems of those guys that are actually out here.
Velas408 sent $19.99 on YouTube. We're back.
We're back up in this biatch. Salutes Velas for the $20 super chat. I'd assume that's yeah, he got beers. I assume that's 2 beers. So salutes to him. Appreciate you. What was I saying? Oh, quickly. You know, if our government wanted to attack that problem, they could. I think they pussy, right? I think they scared. But they got big nuts to go knock over 50-year-old ladies, 40-year-old ladies, 60-year-old ladies, eloteros, tamale ladies, you know, people on their way to work. They want to knock all of them over. They got big nuts to do that shit, right? But they don't want to go after them real motherfuckers, right? The motherfuckers that all of us supposed to be scared of and they're supposed to go after, they don't want to go after them. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Oh, yeah. No, see? Titles. So what did they do, JP? So he said the person they were covering allegedly took their own life, so the S word was in the title. So what did they do, JP? Did they black screen them? They knocked them down? Shout out Shannon. I know they've been in town. Shout out just pointing out the obvious. Yeah, them fools been here a long time. Shit ain't new around here. Salutes to you for coming through. Salutes, yeah, everybody's name. Everybody's name. Yeah, tap that like button, y'all. Salutes. Appreciate you, Theta. Thank you. I'm as good as it gets. All right. Shout out Velez. Let me go get them drinks. But yeah, man. Be aware. Be aware of the Terminator trucks. When they start building those shits and I start seeing them shits come down the block, it's like, wait a minute. Hold on. Hold on. Everybody slow down for a minute. All right? Slow the fuck down. All right, let me give Velez his props. But yeah, them fools been here since their inception. And I'm sure some of them here are eating. But what about the ones that ain't? They're just cheerleading. But that's what it is. I come from a gangbang city. The live just got taken down, thankfully. I don't think they got struck. But I'm saying, did it get taken down while they were live or after the live? All right, let me stop that. Boom, boom, boom. Nah, everybody got their name doxed. All this fucking information.
Oh, too much information and shit.
Alright. Knock that over. We could go straight into the David stuff, the Celest stuff, because there's not much on that, man. Unfortunately. Which is frustrating as fuck for me. Yep, I failed at that shit. I gotta get my buttons right over here. All this new setup. They were talking about YouTube rules of just getting started, then there was nothing. Okay, yeah, they knocked their ass down. That's crazy. They listening. Whatever. See, you're giving me mixed signals. It was like show's over, time to go now type shit. Was it that they knew that it was going to get shut down or it just went black? Yeah, case just went cold. Or they just froze. They just been freezing us out and not giving us information. Shit is strange, man. But let's see what Trap Lil Ross got to talk about. Let me go get my beers. I only see one video since the last one we covered. Now that I got all my data back that I had to recover, I will be editing the rest of what we've been learning about this Celest case, if for nothing else, just to have it archived that, you know, we asked these questions and but this shit is strange, man. Just went black as if they were reported, but it wasn't reported. I don't know. I guess they could do what they want. YouTube, do what they want. Still stalling what? What am I stalling about? Confused. You was gone, man. I thought you was somewhere fucking crunching numbers and shit. Trying to figure out the pin codes out of this, out of these numbers that YouTube is doxing, running out all that information.
Too much information and shit.
Okay, David preparing for the worst. He put the houses in his mother's name, but we talked about that already. Oh, the 2 beers? No, I'm not stalling at all. I just got to get up to go, and I don't like to get up to go without playing the video. We've had this conversation in the chat before. They prefer I play something when I walk away than just walking away. Hey, you sit your ass back. You relax. You enjoy the show. I'm going to go get those 2 cervezas. All right? I'm going to have a video playing. Everything's gravy. All right? You just alter ego today, man. They done knocked the Ron off your shit over here, man. We're going to be all right. But no stalling out of me. The quicker I get them over with, the better. Where the fuck? Life ruined. That's it. David might lose everything in civil trial. Honestly, I don't give a fuck.
What if you could taste the movies?
About a civil trial, really. I'm not thinking about a civil trial at this moment. Let me hit this record. What the fuck happened to that little girl? What did dude have to do with it? Why was he with her? Did he know her when she was 10 years old? All of that shit. That's the shit that I want to know. Civil trial, give a fuck. Let's get it. All right, I'll be back. I'll be right back.
He's in big financial trouble, okay? We already talked previously about the fact that he was apparently moving his properties, okay, into his mother's name, and essentially was transferring the deeds to his mother's home. And a lot of speculation was that this was because he is anticipating a very serious civil lawsuit, allegedly, that could potentially ruin him financially, okay? And a lot of people will be happy to hear that David might be in line to getting ruined financially, but he's clearly making a lot of money, all right? I did a video where I did a calculation that I thought he'd made at least $700,000 from music since the body was found in his car. Now the estimates have gone up. Someone else has done an even more in-depth analysis with another kind of, with a hype auditor account, which I didn't know this was a thing. I really needed this a couple of weeks ago. But they're saying they believe David's earned roughly
Jonathan Pantria sent $25 since my homie Velas came through and held it down. Drink up, Thanos.
You motherfuckers. The newbie over here talking about I'm stalling. Come on, man. What the fuck I do over here? Alright? That's what I do. I also have I close the bar when I'm ready, all that good shit, Right now I'm good. And I'm high as fuck. Don't rush me. Your boy smoked for free, see? You see? Oh shit, we pocket watching David? Is that what the fuck is happening over here? Okay. I see it. Hold on, let's slow this party down real quick. No, this you can call stalling right here. When I do this shit right here, bow! You see that shit disappear, ego? That's just like magic, boy. That motherfucker gone.
Now go home and get your fucking shine box.
Alright. We're gonna bust open this first 5%er. Salutes. Shout out, and I gotta read JP shit. Shout out Velez. Yeah, it's right here. We're back. Alright, let me give him his hundreds. Boom. Oh, I can't do it no more. See, shit happens. Can I do it right here? About hundreds. Oh, can't do it no more. All right, it is what it is. Let's get it. And then JP says, since the homie Velez came through and held it down, drink up, Thanos. So I'm that's what, one of each right there. Bet. So I got 3 and 1. I ain't worried about it. We good. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for hanging out. Let's get it. All right? Don't allow yourself to be distracted. Hit the brakes real quick. The brakes on what?
Okay, into his mother's name. So apparently David is in big financial trouble, okay? We already talked previously about the fact that he was apparently moving his properties, okay, into his mother's name and essentially was transferring the deeds to his mother's home. And a lot of speculation was that this was because he is anticipating a very serious civil lawsuit, allegedly, that could potentially ruin him financially, okay? And a lot of people...
Here's my question about that. Didn't they say that he was already switching everything to his mother's name in September, right? That would say that he knew something bad happened and he had to make his move in September. The way he's saying it, it makes me feel like it's painting the picture to people that dude is just doing that shit right now after they found her in the car. You know what I'm saying? They said he was doing that shit in September.
Allegedly.
Was it after? Was it late September? When did they find her? The 8th or 9th? When did he start switching names on shit?
Potentially ruin him financially, okay? And a lot of people will be happy to hear that David might be in line to getting ruined financially, but he's clearly making a lot of money, all right? I did a video where I did a calculation that I thought he'd made at least $700,000 from music since the body was found in his car. Now the estimates have gone up. Someone else has done an even more in-depth analysis with another kind of, or the hype.
We pocket watching a alleged Chomo R&B singer, alleged unaliver, and we pocket watching to see how much he made since they found her body and he's still walking around free. And if he ain't do it, who did it? They still walking around free. Shout out Shannon. She was found on the 8th. He did it in September. That's the question. Okay, so if he did it in September, it most likely did it after it happened. And after they found it. Okay, it's been a month already. It's crazy. But this is crazy what we've gone to. We sitting here on the internet going through the money of this fucking
Twitter account, which I didn't know this was a thing. I really needed this a couple of weeks ago. But they're saying they believe David has earned roughly $1.3 million in the last month. So he is stacking paper. He's stacking a lot of money from streaming. Okay, people are saying, look.
When launching your membership, timing is everything. Last year,
he is making a lot of money, okay? Some people are disagreeing. Some people are saying, yo, you know, we need to stop with this narrative. This person said his streams might have skyrocketed, but people need to chill with the narrative that he's getting rich off this. Realistically, every dollar he's making is about to get funneled straight into the pockets of his legal team. Big name defense attorneys don't come cheap. We're talking hundreds of thousands just for retainers, and that's before trials. Expert witnesses and the endless billable hours kick in. So sure, he might have earned 1.3 mil off streams, but that money's basically gone the moment he signed the retainer agreement. He's not cashing out. He's paying to delay the inevitable. You don't beat a case like this. You just go broke trying. Word to Lil Durk. People are saying his record label is probably keeping 85% of that money anyway. They're talking about his $3 million advance that he got, so he'll be paying that back still. A lot of people are pointing out predominantly the mass amount of debt he's accrued from cancelling a tour will have to be paid out to venues and vendors, as well as merch cancellations, a cancelled deluxe physical print of his last release, fees from his label, and likely there's a clause to cover their asses in the situation, which will leave him with little but to cover legal. That's why handing over his assets to his mother, he has no control over what he's received as residuals. But all the same, to reiterate, as I have several times, stop using his sounds on apps or listening to his music out of curiosity and seek out better artists. Some people are arguing back, though. They're saying, uh-oh, until he's charged with a crime, his legal fees aren't going to be that.
This fool turned into a comment reader, but I'm with it for a second. Let's see what this money situation is. Listen, the dude did a Fortnite deal. He was about to unveil some Fortnite shit. You know what I'm saying? Who knows what he got up front on a lot of those deals.
That high. He's already paid the retainer.
But again, yeah, he'll go broke. Here's the question. What is the police talking about? What are they doing? Nothing. I ain't heard nothing. But we're going to go look at law and crime too. And see
the police charge him. There isn't anything to beat. Civil action by the family, I guess, but that's a different lawyer than your criminal defense team.
And I don't give a shit about no civil case right now. What happened to that little girl is the task at hand.
Right. So people are saying that, look, he could have been making more money than this. He could have been making less money than this. He could have had sponsorship deals. He had a whole lot going on. Okay, some people are disagreeing. But essentially, it has now been posted in Reddit. A lot of people are expecting the family of Celest to do a multi-million-dollar civil suit. Okay, this is a YouTube short that's basically explaining why.
When a minor goes missing and an adult who is not her parent is closely involved, the question is always the same. Was there foul play? Why is she dead? How is she dead? In the case of David, the R&B star who had the decomposing body of Celest Rivas Hernandez in his $100,000 Tesla Frunk parked near his house, could there be a civil case here?
That's the new stupidest word I've ever heard. In the Frunk. Get the fuck out of here.
No, mommy's wake.
And my answer to that is absolutely. There's videos, social media posts, and even a podcast appearance. She even had a matching SHH tattoo with David on their finger, which strongly suggests a private, secretive relationship. After all, at all times relevant to the relationship, Celest was a minor child and David was an adult. That duty may form or strengthen the basis for civil liability in a wrongful death or negligence claim. And California law allows a wrongful death action under its civil code.
So apparently under the civil code, okay, they can file a civil lawsuit, okay, and people are saying it's highly likely and it's probably one of the reasons why he's transferred his properties into a trust to protect his assets from a potential civil case against him. They're saying, yep, under Texas law, your homestead is protected from most creditors. 2 problems for David. You can only claim one piece of property as your homestead and you actually have to live there. He's got more than one home and he lives in Los Angeles. People are saying, good point, but if you transfer the property under Texas or California law to avoid judgment, it's a fraudulent transfer. His asset protection would have to be set up pre-event, not post, to be most effective. Highly likely that a Rivas Hernandez suit could cut through post-death transfers. Sounds simple, right? Not so. Not a simple case, particularly if you can't prove that David killed her. They may not be able to prove that. However, there is another angle under CA law that is very interesting and relevant to this entire thread. So this is the video I've just skimmed through for some interesting stuff, and he does make some cool and very insightful points about the difference between the criminal and civil trials and how they can actually work in tandem. Check this out.
Wrong. The answer is yes. A civil case can be brought at the same time as a criminal investigation. In fact, I'm handling a case right now involving assault and battery, and the prosecution in the criminal case is cooperating with me. The civil case is pending in civil court, and the criminal case is now pending in the criminal court. But even before the criminal information was filed, I was talking to the prosecutor and we traded information, we worked together. That was the way that it worked. The power of a civil suit can bring the family of Celest incredible results. While David can refuse to answer questions based on his pleading of the Fifth Amendment, the court has the power to compel all electronic evidence, cell phone data, track logs, photos, emails, videos, social media postings, and so much more. Already.
Simple answer to the one question. What was she doing in your kitchen while she was a missing person on your live stream at 13, 14 years old? Go. That's it.
Without getting into David's private phone, emails, or photos, we have a lot of information, and many of you are probably scratching your head saying, why wasn't this guy arrested yet? Well, that's for the criminal attorneys to discuss, but you can imagine if you bring the power of the court into play on a civil side, I
mean, we haven't even heard rumors of other people. We've heard the manager. I don't know if we covered it. I might have to find it. The manager came out and said, listen, I wasn't his manager. I didn't even know him physically. This was over the computer, and I just managed affairs and shit. That's it. I don't know how true that is, but I haven't heard anything about anybody else involved. I haven't heard anything about any, anything. Just David and why he isn't arrested.
Attorney conducting discovery could really find answers to who, what, when, how, where, and why. And all of these questions that we asked above may likely have answers, and a good attorney conducting discovery could get these answers readily through the power of subpoena. And California law allows a wrongful death action under its civil code. Under California law, specifically California Code of Civil Procedure, section 377.60, a wrongful death claim may be filed by individuals who are closely related to the deceased and suffered due to death. The statute outlines the following potential survivors: the surviving spouse or domestic partner, which is of course not applicable here, children, putative spouse, or that's someone believed or in good faith they were legally married to the decedent, stepchildren, parents or legal guardians if the decedent was a minor and the parents are deceased, or siblings. If no other heirs are available, the siblings can recover under this law. It's a pretty broad law. California actually has a good wrongful death law that's very encompassing. In the case of Celest Rivas Hernandez, it is reported that she had both a mother and a father. I don't know the facts on that, but that's what's reported. Therefore, if true, at minimum, they would be the primary individuals eligible to file a wrongful death claim on Celeste's behalf. Of course, any civil case would face defenses. Let's talk about those. David's attorneys could argue that other adults and family members of Celeste were responsible for her whereabouts, i.e. her parents. They could also question the strength of the timeline that we talked about today, or suggest that the photos and videos do not establish care or custody. These defenses could sway a jury, but they do not eliminate the potential for civil liability entirely. Another argument you may see in a case like this is defending on the closeness or the strength of the relationship between Celeste and her parents. Already, there is video out there of an ex-boyfriend of Celeste who says here in this video that Celeste had problems with her parents and, her parents were mean. What problems? He doesn't really say. Certainly doesn't say they were abusive. I mean, my 13-year-old probably thinks I'm strict, but he's not running away. Whatever the case, in a civil case, the defense could probe into this relationship directly. The goal would be to establish that the parents did not care or had little to no emotional connection with their daughter, Celeste. After all, she ran away.
The way they're going to do that is by saying, what did you do to get her back? Now, if they went through all their proper authorities, whatever, they needed to be knocking on somebody's door. The fact that they knew that this dude was around and existed, I don't know if they knew his age. I don't know what they knew or didn't know, but somebody needed to be at that doorstep. It's very easy. Why was she on your live stream in your kitchen at whatever age she was and whatever age you were? Why?
Was gone for over a year, they'd make those arguments. And I mentioned internet sleuths. If all the internet sleuths can find pictures and posts about Celeste being with David, what did the parents know? Did they know that she was at his home? I mean, this sort of defense could diminish the recovery of the estate if the evidence uncovered or supported lack of care, apathy, or any sort of an abusive relationship. But again, we don't know any of that yet.
Imagine bringing your side project to life just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
So I think these are really important and interesting points being raised, because I have no doubt, in my personal opinion, that there is going to be some kind of civil suit against David, regardless of if a criminal trial goes ahead. And it would be interesting if, subpoenas were used for some of this private information, for the phone records, for the messages between them to be revealed. And, it's possible that that stuff might actually come out publicly in a civil suit. But I do think it's interesting that the fact that the state of the home that she came from actually might allow David to actually have a defense in this case. And a lot of people have been pointing their fingers at the family. I don't personally think it's right. But if this is a look. Right, this is a real lawyer from a real law firm who is actually breaking it down and saying that could be a defense. David could actually play that to his strengths.
Another factor in civil cases is whether a judgment can actually be collected. This comes up a lot in these murder cases. Typically, where there's a murder suspect, that suspect usually does not have assets or money to collect. Unlike many criminal defendants, David is a celebrity with potentially significant assets, music royalties, and perhaps insurance coverage. Who knows? Look at his history. David...
Damn, can you bruh, no way can you insure for a body being found in your trunk. That would be absolutely insane. But he does have significant assets, and we've just seen they're saying he might have made over $1 million in a month after this situation. And look, no doubt the family are going to want to go and get a piece of that. They're already doing a GoFundMe. Okay, well, whether or not you agree with that, this is really bad for David.
It has a studio album with a...
Fuck him.
major record label, that's Interscope. Moreover, he has songs like Romantic Homicide, Here With Me, Placebo Effect.
Now, you got to pay close attention to what he's talking about here. He's not just saying these are all things that have made him a lot of money, but the ownership of the rights to his Romantic Homicide song, that's valuable. Even if he's moving houses around and he's saying, I ain't got no money or whatever, his record deal is worth money. The royalties and the ownership, people always talk about ownership. Does the label own the song? Does the artist own the song? Are they independent? But who knows? They might actually come for some of the rights and royalties over his song, and you never know. I think we ended up seeing in that O.J. Simpson case that the family of Ron Goldman sued, and they actually obtained the rights to his book, If I Did It. And they were making money off of that.
And Feel It. These are all very, very popular songs. I've personally not listened to them, but my 13-year-old, he says they're hits. He says that David has a big following. And some have argued that songs like Romantic Homicide is some sort of a foreshadowing of the mental state or plan that David had for Celeste. I read the lyrics. They're definitely pretty dark. But this being a motive seems like a stretch, but who knows? Could it be evidence in a case? Maybe. We'd have to see. Finally, this is a perfect segue for motive. While motive is not an element to proving either negligence or, in my understanding, required to prove murder, it certainly can support a jury's understanding of why a person would do something like commit a murder. And I want to be very clear here. There is no evidence or allegation that I have seen that there's a sexual relationship that occurred with David and Celeste. However, hypothetically, if it were discovered that such a relationship existed, California Penal Code Section 261.5, statutory rape, could apply. I mean, the age of consent in...
So that's interesting. He said there's no evidence. And look, it depends whether you categorize those messages where she was allegedly talking to her friend about having had relations with David as evidence. That could be hearsay. They could be fake screenshots. She could be lying. But this is a whole other problem that he's going to face. Because, yeah, sure, if they can't prove the murder, but if they can prove that an actual relationship was going on between these two people that was physical in nature, it's going to be a big problem. And if there's anything on his phones, if there's anything on his devices, it's going to be a problem.
In California is 18, and criminal penalties vary based on the age difference. But again, this is purely a hypothetical consideration and not an assertion of fact. All of those facts are probably going to be discovered by the criminal side or in the civil side.
So I just noticed something kind of interesting, right? I mean, it says a person who's 21 or older who engages in an act of unlawful with a minor who's under 16 is guilty of either a misdemeanor or a felony. But he wasn't 21 years of age. He wasn't 21 years. He was 20. All right. And he was even younger when this happened. So to be honest, the way that this is phrased, under 21 years of age, he doesn't actually qualify for that.
Fuck.
So this is gonna be a tough one.
California's facts are probably going to be discovered by the criminal side or in the civil side. Some have argued that this would provide a motive for elimination of Celeste, but again, we don't currently have facts to support this as a motive, so it's really too early to make any real comment as to whether the motive is going to be part of the case. So where does this leave us? Based on the timeline, public reports, and California law, a civil case could definitely be pursued here.
So he's saying a civil case can be pursued?
If no criminal charges are ever filed, or if a criminal case is unsuccessful. We see this all the time. O.J. Simpson was acquitted for the murder of Nicole Brown Simpson, but the personal injury attorneys filed a successful civil suit where they received a verdict for 30...
That just don't show you how broken and silly and ridiculous our system is. If you could find a man guilty civilly for something that he wasn't even charged with, in a criminal court, that shit is dumb.
$3.5 million against O.J. Simpson. For all these reasons, I place this on the justice scale at a 6 out of 10. For now, there's enough for a civil attorney to investigate, potentially hold somebody, David, accountable, and pursue damages. David appears to be collectible. Unlike many criminal cases here, we have a defendant that most likely can pay a full judgment. If it can be established that David was either...
Peep what he said, man. He said, in this case, we have a defendant who likely is rich enough to pay a full judgment. So no doubt they're going to come after him. And he's saying that there's enough out there to realistically bring a case. And he's a lawyer.
They're in care or custody of Celeste, or that any negligent action he took led to her death. He most likely could pay a full judgment, if not now, over time. If further facts come out that solidify any of what we discussed today, the justice scale rating on this case goes up and up and up. Rhetorical questions to leave you with thinking with, audience. Where did Celeste live while living away from home? Why did no other adult come forward, like a roommate, a family member, or a friend that she lived with? Nobody's come forward and said, hey, she's missing. And ultimately, if she had no other caretakers, is it more likely than not that an adult that she was last seen with bore a duty to protect her? These are the questions a civil court would examine, and the answers could have serious implications for or against David. This is a tragic case, guys. And the full story is still unfolding, but for
Wait, if you were
unfolding slow as shit, boy. Is it unfolding? All right, shout out Shannon. His former landlord, owner of his rental home, has hired a private investigator. Yeah, I'm sure he wants to know what the fuck was going on, because there's money there. He can go get that. Yeah, her family was responsible for her whereabouts, but him as responsible adult should have done the right thing when she wanted to go with him or whatever. He should have never been in a situation, and again, this is just me bouncing off of that. He should have never been in a situation where she want to go with him. You know what I'm saying? They should have never known each other like that, man. And that's where I want to get to. I want to get to how did they meet, when did they meet? If this is true that she was on Discord at 10 years old, what a fucking abomination. Disgusting. And him being a responsible adult, him being a fucking, he should have known that there's no conversation, there's no nothing, there's no, none of that shit. It's none of your fucking business. And the family should have kicked in some fucking doors. Shout out JP, just wearing my conspiracy hat in such a sad story with no real answers. Man, shit moving slow. With no real answers or anything happening for the girl's justice, does her being a minority possibly play a factor into the case? Nah, probably not. Probably not. I don't see it. And everything ain't that all the time, Whole thing of them meetings should have never happened. Never. None of that shit. None of that shit. Nothing. Hit the like button if you have yet to do so, yo. None of that shit.
Detained at any Illinois juvenile detention facility. This is the money glitch that's getting former.
So shout out to Personal Injury Perspective, the Hastings law firm, man. This is a really interesting channel. That was good analysis. I rock with that, and it's only got 15 views right now. But a lot of people are saying that, it's not a simple case, and the California law could have him banged to rights, okay? They're saying this is why he put the houses in his mama's name. People are saying 100% whether or not he's guilty or not of murder, he and his associates are going to get sued in civil court and lose millions. It's a lot easier to win a civil case than a criminal case. Look at OJ, Kobe, and even Trump. It says if he doesn't settle out of court, what will be interesting, though, is what else comes out about everyone else involved. He will definitely be pointing fingers at everyone will be pointing fingers at each other, since I'm sure everyone thinks someone else is at fault for how Celeste's situation turned out. This is very true, but the challenge here is what happens if we can't prove that he killed her. That's a real problem. However, California law and all the work on this thread may help the family get around this, okay? But apparently there's no lawsuit pending. The family, if they hired counsel, would have access to electronic evidence ASAP. Nobody is talking about the civil lawsuit side. And I just wanted to add another little bit of my own personal analysis on this situation before I round this off. I linked up with a homie last night who has a Tesla Model X. And I said, wait a minute. You got Tesla Model X, right? That's the same car as David. I said, let me have a look at that frunk. I hadn't seen the inside of
the fucking frunk. That word is stupid, frunk.
Tesla Model X frunk. And I'm not going to lie to you. This is my personal opinion. But that frunk was really not that big. I said there ain't no way you're getting a body inside that without manipulating it, cutting it, twisting it up, folding it up. I'm not going to lie, that trunk was small and it really didn't have a lot of depth. I was actually amazed by seeing this. I saw that with my own eyes. I went and had an inspection of that trunk. Okay, I didn't film it because it was someone's personal car. Somebody, I'm saying somebody you might have heard of. But anyway, that frunk was not looking big enough for a body to be in there, man. So that is definitely bad news. And there's one more thing that I want to share with you guys before I wrap this one up, because there is actually a TikToker an influencer that has now come out to basically say that she saw David with Celeste when she was just 13 years old. So check this.
There's a video of me at a party in the same room as David and Celeste. It was someone's birthday party over a year ago. I'm getting lots of comments, mostly on my main account, of people being like, why didn't you say anything if you knew? I can't believe you're trying to hide the fact that you were at a party with them. You knew the whole time and didn't say anything, just shit like that. I did not even know who David was until a few days ago. There's usually hundreds of people at those parties. They're always dark, and I didn't even interact with them. I think it's so crazy.
Hey, yo, man, I hate these motherfuckers, man. Everybody want to be so nonchalant. They want to do their video in the bed, all vulnerable and shit. Bitch, please, get the fuck out of here, man. I ain't trying to hear that shit.
Bullshit.
I'm in the bed. I'm so unbothered. I don't need to. I barely want to make this video. Come on, man. Shut the fuck up, man. You clout chasing. What are we talking about here, man? Go get your fucking.
Now go home and get your fucking shine box.
Easy, like trying to even make it seem like I had any part in any of this as someone who was just in the same room as them with like 400 other people. All I can say is I hope that that girl's family gets the justice that they deserve. Please stop trying to include me in this and message his actual.
Please stop giving me all the attention that I want.
Friends who knew things.
So you included yourself in it when you made that TikTok, love. But anyway.
There it is. There it is. Shout out Trap Lord Ross.
Bye. You know, it's interesting. People are saying that they were around him. They were around Celeste. They see her around, and she was very young. So, look, okay, I personally think this criminal lawsuit, we don't know where the criminal case is going to go. I'm starting to feel like so much time has passed now. I don't feel like they've got any evidence on him, to be honest with you. Man. Like, it's starting to feel like they probably don't have what they need to bring criminal charges, but that doesn't mean that this civil suit won't go somewhere.
Man, motherfuck a civil suit. How you don't have evidence of what? Okay, we're not just talking about the unaliving. How about the rest of that shit? You don't got the evidence of that? We saw her. Is that her? Tell us. Is that her on that screen, in that live stream? What was she doing there? Why was she with him? Was he harboring a runaway? Well, you know, was this a, you know, come on, man. What are we doing? Civil suits. We talking about it, but it's been a month. It's been a month. Fuck is a frunk? It's the frunk, man. It's not the trunk. It's the frunk. Cause it's like, cause we call the trunk. We call it the brunk. The fuck, frunk.
The bar is much lower in the civil suit with all of the evidence that's out there already, let alone with subpoenaed information from the personal mobile phones. I think it's going to be hard for him to beat a civil case, in my opinion, but it might be easy for him to beat that criminal case. So look, he might end up losing he might delete it. All right, the court's going to delete everything. The court's going to delete everything from his bank account, okay? So unfortunately, David could be going to the poorhouse after this one, okay? Some people are going to be happy to hear that. Some people aren't. But yeah, man. Civil suit's about to go through his bank account and delete everything. So stay tuned. I'll keep you guys updated. Literally, if there's an arrest, I'm going to be just all over. I'm going to give you all the information, okay? So I'm keeping an eye on this.
Man, if there's an arrest, I've been hearing this shit for weeks. For weeks. See what we got over here. Salutes, hunters up to y'all. Appreciate everybody that's hung around. Salutes. Unfortunately, it's looking like she didn't or doesn't have much support from her family. I don't know, man. I'm over here looking stucky. Let's see what Jesse Weber talking about. Is it live streams? What are we doing? No. Videos. 2 days ago, he hands over Tesla. What does that even mean? Why does he have to hand over
If you were sexually abused at a juvenile detention center, even decades ago, you might still qualify for compensation. I just found out that
Why did singer David just transfer two properties to his mother amid the invest?
I want to slap the shit out of him.
investigation into the death of Celest Rivas Hernandez, the young girl whose decomposed body was found in his car? Does this have to do with a recent apparent swatting incident at his parents' house? Is there something else going on here? Is this suspicious? Is it strategic? Let's discuss. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. All right, real quick, this is another law and crime legal alert. There are allegations right now claiming that online apps like DraftKings, ESPN Bet, BetMGM,
Relax.
So we have a lot lately since to take a short quiz and check your eligibility to file a claim. Okay, so we have this new development in the continuing story of singer David, who has been in the news quite a lot lately since the body of 14-year-old Celest Rivas Hernandez was found in a Tesla that was registered to his name. This was back on September 8th out in LA. We have been covering every aspect of this story, as currently there are no arrests, there are no identified persons of interest, there's no identified suspects, there's no released cause and manner of death. And when it comes to David, who authorities haven't officially confirmed what the exact connection or relationship he has to Celest, even though there has been speculation and reporting that the two were romantically involved, while he hasn't been implicated in any wrongdoing or any crime, there is a lot of interesting stuff that has been going on that we have been trying to piece together to see if it has any connection to the investigation into Celest's death. And that includes with respect to David's parents and what David reportedly did with that house that we need to talk about. Also another property. So on September 18th, we've talked about this. This is after Celest's body was found. Someone called 911 to David's parents' house in Hempstead, Texas, in what appears to be a fake report, this alleged swatting incident.
Waller County Sheriff's Office is Amber. Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, Waller County Sheriff's Office.
Hello, I need help.
Okay, what's going on? Where are you at?
My address is...
Okay, what's going on?
I heard, some, gunshots.
Okay. How close to your residence were they?
They were, right outside my house, and I think someone's dead.
Okay, what's your name?
Say it again?
What's your name? Okay, what's a good phone number for you, sir? Okay, and why do you believe that somebody's dead?
I just heard, a loud scream, and there was, gunshots.
Oh, scream. Okay. After shots. Okay, but you haven't saw or heard anything else after that?
I heard a scream.
Was it a male or a female scream, do you think?
It was a female.
Female? Okay, we're going to go ahead and get deputies headed out that way and just confirming you're at...
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to get them sent that way, okay?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
We actually interviewed an audio expert who concluded that this call was in fact distorted, someone masking their voice. It's on a previous episode of Sidebar. I'll play a little bit of it in a little bit. But police, they ended up showing up to this house.
It ain't on their phone.
And this is not a Texas.
Yeah, it's an out-of-state number.
Someone's messing with us.
But it would be pinged here though, because wherever they call from, it pings and sends it to dispatch.
What the what?
So whenever you call 911, wherever you are, it sends a ping that's how they know the address.
And this address came up to this number?
Yes, ma'am. That's where he was meeting. County to Engine 42.
So is there somebody on my property?
It could be. We'll check the property for you.
Yes, please.
So we'll ride around. If you give me a layout, how's the property?
Now here's the thing: with the situation that that family and their son is in, it's a real threat to feel like somebody's on your property. Why? Because there's people out there that got, that are not happy with this situation, and not everybody is. A lot of people are on the edge, and you never know. She said, he said, we're gonna check the property. Dude said, please do. Hurry up, quickly, please.
Does it go further back?
No, it doesn't go any further back. It's right here, and then it goes
Follow the fence, there was a gate, and the fence around, which is a private fence.
Well, him and I will ride around and check, and then we'll leave. And I'll put the pin back. All you do is pull that pin, and then I'll put it all back together. Thank you, sir. But I'll take it apart, because when it's something like that, when somebody says something like that, we got to get up here to save somebody's life,
Yeah, okay, so that was a false alarm. You see, I don't like this kind of thing. So if I really do have an emergency, then...
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Sorry.
Well, if you do have an emergency, you know we're going to be here.
Okay.
We're going to get here.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it. All right. Y'all have a good night.
And now we got to talk about what is being reported. Okay, so according to TMZ, David has transferred deeds.
He wearing his grandmother's sweater and shit right there. Shout out Shannon. I'd be a little freaked out. Yeah, like it's a real scenario when you got a case going on that got so much attention on the internet. It's a real threat, somebody on your land. So like I said, I heard her family was looking for her, but fuck, if it was my child is missing for one day, I know where I can go ask who he hangs out with, what he does, where he goes. I'd be asking. Like nobody, like no other, and making the police do their fucking job. I'm a crazy mom when it comes to my son. You don't want to make me mad or worry. Be like that. Tell us what I done. No mute over here. Not yet. High-headed Elon Musk trying to make up his own language. Now, did Elon do that or did the people make up the frunk?
Of 2 Texas homes to a trust in his mother's name. That this apparently happened on September 18th and September 22nd. September 18th was the day of this alleged swatting incident, and that home appears to be one of the properties that we're talking about. So why did he do this in the middle of a death investigation? Time to bring in Matthew Sarelson, trial.
Wait, when did he do it?
And September 22nd. September 8th. That this apparently happened on September 18th and September 22nd. Deeds of 2 Texas homes.
If you do have an emergency, you know we're going to be here.
But I feel like, okay, this was the 18th.
Okay. We're going to get here.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it. All right. Y'all have a good night.
And now we got to talk about what is being reported. Okay, so according to TMZ, David has transferred deeds of 2 Texas homes to a trust in his mother's name. That this apparently happened on September 18th and September 22nd. September 18th was the day of this alleged swatting incident, and that home appears to be one of the properties that we're talking about. So
that could have triggered it. Mama could have said, boy, I need your name off of my shit. You get me over here, swatted this shit.
Why did he do this in the middle of a death investigation? Time to bring in Matthew Sarelson, trial attorney, to talk more about this. Matthew, thank you so much for taking the time. Why did he do it? Why do you think he did it?
Okay, if there's one AI site builder you need to meet, it's this dope tech from Wix.
Thanks for having me. So I have 2 suspicions as to why he did this. This case, you guys have been covering this from the start. This is getting crazier and crazier by the minute. I have 2 suspicions as to why he did it, and both of them have to do with asset protection. Old-fashioned, I want to preserve my assets in the event something happens to me. If he is...
So why not do it on the 10th? Why not do it on the 12th? Why not do it on the 16th, 17th?
Charged criminally, and obviously we're speculating, but if he were to be charged criminally, there would be a monetary fine as part of any potential punishment. If he doesn't have the assets to pay the fine, then he can't pay the fine. So one thing to do is get rid of your assets and put them in someone else's name. The other side to this is related, which is there going to be a civil lawsuit? Celest's family could file a wrongful death lawsuit against him and others. It's a little premature because there's still a lot of unanswered questions about this. But if they were to file a civil lawsuit, he could essentially try to hide assets in his mother's name or in anyone else's name, for that matter. Whether he's successful is a whole different conversation.
Bunch of questions with that. By the way, this is exactly what I suspected too might be going on. Let's be clear about something though. Can transferring these assets in the middle of a death investigation, as opposed to 2 years ago or a year ago,
right.
Could a court look at this and say this was a deliberate attempt to, what you say, concealing assets, and they could breach it, they could pierce it, they could say, even though that you've transferred this into your mother's name, that was invalid. This is a way for, let's say, a plaintiff who sues him, or let's say in a criminal judgment to pay that fine. Can a court look at that and say, even though you transferred it, it's still open season on those properties?
Yeah, this is what's so puzzling about this. It is a very basic premise of law throughout the country that you can't transfer assets after the event happens that would otherwise trigger collecting on those assets. So we have rules in different states. Sometimes they're called fraudulent transfers. Sometimes they're called fraudulent conveyances. There's a lot of different names for them. But
bro, this shit is crazy. These images of her covering her face with him, like, can we not ID her and say that's her? What were you doing with her? What happened? What is the problem with that?
The crux.
I know I'm thinking like a caveman, but it's kind of aggravating. This shit is crazy, these pictures.
Of it is, you cannot transfer assets to protect yourself from a creditor when the event, the triggering event, in this case, the death of Celeste, happens prior to. This happened just in the last several days versus her death, which I'm not even sure we know exactly when her death was, but clearly these transfers are after her death. So it would take little effort for a court to undo this transaction and rule that it is a collectible asset of David.
Be clear about something else. We don't know 100% why he did this, right? And I'll go to some other theories. But perhaps it does have something to do with this case regarding Celeste. If he did this in anticipation of a criminal action, or he did this in anticipation of a lawsuit, to be clear, that doesn't necessarily mean that he's guilty. That doesn't necessarily mean that he's liable. It doesn't necessarily mean that he did something here. It would just be an anticipation of what could happen, right? Because he could...
That video right there, man. Is that her? Okay. Answer the question. Why was she there on your live stream in your kitchen? Why?
Come out and say, I'm being falsely accused.
If I understand correctly, she is a runaway at this point. She is a missing person at this point. And they think it's funny, and this adult right here think it's funny. They put on these big glasses like they on some Clark Kent disguise shit. You know? And now she's decomposing in a fucking frunk. What are we talking about here?
I'm just doing what I have to do to protect myself, but that doesn't necessarily... what we say in the law, it's not consciousness of guilt, right?
Waiting for the new year to launch your membership? That's too late. There's a golden window of opportunity creators underestimate every year.
Well, I'm not sure I entirely agree. I think...
Okay, that's fair.
I think you could make an argument, and depending on how it comes into evidence, you could have admissible evidence against him that it is essentially an admission of wrongdoing or an admission of liability. Now, if there's a criminal case, he can't be called to the stand and say, hey, David, why'd you do this? Right? He has Fifth Amendment protections. He'd never take the stand. But that doesn't prevent his mother from taking the stand. And nothing insulates mom. So they could depose mom and say, why did David do this? Did he ever tell you why he did this? And all of his conversations, all of his text communications with mom or anyone else, those would be admissible evidence. So I have a feeling if they dig, and I suspect they're going to dig, you'll probably find some communication that is admissible and can eventually be used against him. Again, speculating. Look, if he's, I hate saying this, but if he's innocent, he has nothing to hide. That's such a sort of a weird, terrible cliche that sometimes people say. Yeah. So obviously, if he didn't do anything, if there's no judgment entered against him in a civil case, or if there's no fine levied against him as part of a criminal conviction, then yeah, the conveyance is fine and nothing will eventually happen. I think the circumstantial evidence here is that something did run afoul of David's life, and that's why he did this.
Would his mother have to testify about this transfer?
Yeah, his mother would have to testify. The lawyers who did the transaction would have to testify. The lawyers who drafted the trust documents might have to testify, depending on how these documents were created. I kind of want to see those documents, because were these properties in a trust to begin with, but he was the beneficiary of the trust and the deed was simply in the name of the trust? If that's the case, then he simply transferred the beneficiary. It's still a fraudulent conveyance. It's still going to be undone if there's eventually a judgment against him. Or did he create the trust for the purpose of this particular conveyance? And if he did, that trust document probably would have been created in the last few weeks. I want to know how that trust document came into existence. A whole lot of people are going to have to testify about that.
And real quick, why put it in a trust as opposed to just I don't know, selling the properties to his mom?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's a belief in this country. I do this a lot. There's a belief in this country that if you just put your assets in a trust, they're somehow protected. And the truth is, the reality is, almost all trusts are breakable at some level. Even the most honorific offshore trusts, you see this all the time with offshore trusts in the Caribbean or offshore European trusts. You can eventually break those trusts. It's very hard. It's very expensive. So I suspect he sort of just said, let's just put it in a trust where it won't be immediately reachable. I don't know if it's a revocable trust, if it's an irrevocable trust. If it's a revocable trust, he can simply revoke the trust and take his assets back. It would take one sentence. He can just write, I hereby revoke the trust, sign his name, the assets go back to him. If it's an irrevocable trust, he can't do that because by definition, it's irrevocable. It can be undone by a court if it was fraudulent. But there's all kinds of tax implications for a revocable trust versus an irrevocable trust. I'm not sure why he did this, except I suspect this was sort of a basic low-level attempted asset protection that I don't think is going to provide much protection in the end.
Right. I'm glad you clarified that. And by the way, let's just talk timeline real quick. Yeah. Any reason that this happened on the same day of the alleged...
I think Buddy's voiced like that because he had a surgery. It happens. Okay? So I'm not going to rag on him too bad.
Swatting.
Get those surgeries, get a vocal cord knocked loose, and it's no good. But it is what it is. The man can talk.
Incident. Coincidence? Could it not even be connected to Celeste? Could it be, hey, if my family is now being targeted in some way, let's just go with that theory. My family's being targeted.
That's my left field theory right there. That triggered it. Hey, man, I need your name off of this shit. I'm getting swatted over you.
Is there anything that this could do to help his family, protect him?
I thought about that. My gut is telling me it's coincidental and it's just sort of an odd timing. There's one aspect to this that I don't know about yet, which is, has the family sent a demand letter? Has the family of Celeste, not David's family, has Celeste's family lawyered up? And have they sent a demand letter to David and his people? And if the answer is yes, that demand letter may have actually triggered some of this. Not maybe why the timing is what it was.
And this also happened.
Okay, if they send a demand letter, that could have put the spooks on them. Like, oh shit, they about to take everything.
Our understanding is the day after police got a warrant to search that rental property out in LA. Now, remember, that was a property that he had been renting reportedly $20,000 a month, gets out of it, breaks the lease, moves stuff out. Think that's any part of it?
I'm not sure about that. I've thought about that. He owns properties. He's living in a rental. There may be some tax benefits as to why he's owning property in Texas, but only renting property in Los Angeles. It's LA, obviously, is a very expensive market. So there may be a lot of reasons why he was only renting. And then the question is, look, all of his properties are going to be subject to a warrant, right? His cars, his bank accounts, his phone records. I'm sure LAPD, this is high profile, I am sure LAPD has had multiple warrants that have been executed, most of which we probably don't even know about, against his properties, his cars, his phone, his credit card companies. This is what happens when there's a high profile investigation like this. Lots of warrants are going to be issued.
Well, Texas is where the car, where Celeste's body inside, that's where it was registered. Significant when we think about what's going on here?
Not really. It may end up being significant if... I'll give you an example. I don't know where she was killed. We don't know. We don't even have a cause of death yet. We know very little about this. Now, is it registered in Texas because he's from Texas and that's where his family's from? That's probably the case. That's my guess. But maybe there's more to it than that. I just don't think we know if the fact that it's a Texas registered car, but it's in LA, probably should have been registered in LA because I'm sure it was there for more than 30 days, which is what triggers registration. So I'm sure it was improperly registered in Texas, but I don't think that necessarily means anything.
When you think about some of his recent moves, though, you wonder, is it all connected, right? So he hires celebrity attorney Blair Burke, moves out of the property that he was renting out in L.A., which was near where the Tesla with Celeste was found abandoned. That was after authorities searched it. Canceled his tour. Promotion of his album has been halted. Do you think all this, all these moves, all this happening is connected, or, and again...
Yeah, I feel like he's surprised he ain't locked up yet. You know what I'm saying? I feel like he's surprised. Like, hey man, what the fuck they waiting for? They're not gonna come after me. I'm getting everything prepared. I don't know.
We're just talking about the properties being transferred. Do you think it's all connected?
We have got to the point where literally anybody can build a fully working app without knowing how to code. This is based.
Yeah.
That makes sense that his voice don't match his face. I feel like because that wasn't his original voice. So that makes sense.
I mean, it's really hard to say it's not connected. The story here, as you know, as your audience knows, he wrote a song entitled Celeste. He had a matching tattoo with Celeste. Celeste had apparently told some family and friends. She had a boyfriend named David. There's a lot of unconfirmed reports, but there's a lot of unconfirmed reports. And you start putting a little bit of this unconfirmed report and some other unconfirmed report, and you start thinking, what are the odds here? One thing we don't know yet is, have they conducted any kind of DNA testing on her? Because if they were in a relationship, not only potentially was there wrongful death involved, but she was 14. He was over 18. That's statutory rape. There's a whole lot of things that are going on that I really want to know about. Is it all related? I don't see how it can't be. It's too overwhelming for you to say, nah, this is all just coincidental.
Well, and one thing to point out, the medical examiner's office did confirm that she wasn't pregnant, and she hadn't been pregnant in the past year. I think that's significant to call out once again. You talk about connection. We didn't get a chance to talk about it, you and I. Do you...
So we get that from the medical examiner, but nothing else? I don't understand it. Salutes Miguel Lopez on the check-in. Appreciate you, sir. Good to see you. Thank you for being here. I want to apologize for bringing ice. For me riding on their truck, it was a joke. I want to apologize for bringing ice. For me riding on their truck, it was a joke. All right, for those that don't know, there's a notorious video out there of somebody, I don't know who it is, writing shot L on a truck. In dust. Should have watched that motherfucker, man. Shy, you might be right. There are so many health reasons that can affect your vocal cords that don't even know, but the outcome is insane. I think this is a scar right here. I don't think this is just his neck wilding out. I think he got a scar right there. So that makes sense to me. All right, but salutes Miguel Lopez, salutes Velez. Appreciate y'all. Miguel Lopez is back, apologizing for bringing ice. La bolsita affect the voice too, yo. La bolsita knock that motherfucker down a couple notches.
Think the Texas incident, right? This alleged swatting episode, when it happened, do you think that's connected to Celeste's death in any way?
No.
Yeah, I actually do. And I'm speculating a little bit, so I want to be clear that I'm speculating a little bit. But I'm wondering if someone in David's entourage doesn't have somewhat of a guilty conscience and knows some information and wants to, without actually dropping a dime and speaking to authorities, I'm wondering if there are people who are trying to sort of steer authorities in a certain direction and say, I can't give you the details, but look over here and go from there. I think it was intentional. I think people are trying to help out the investigation.
Let me ask you big picture. What are you going to be looking out for next? What are you expecting next in just this general story, this general case?
I'd like to know the specifics of the time of death and the cause of death.
Yes.
And I'd like to have more friends and people in his entourage come forward with information about the nature of their relationship. I think the nature of their relationship and the autopsy report, cause of death, it's going to tell us a lot about where this investigation is headed. And let's step back for just 1 second and say, let's assume David wasn't involved in her death. Well, how else did she die? Somebody put her in that Tesla. Somebody murdered her and put her in the Tesla. Where are the other potential suspects? Who else? What did the other compete?
What did I tell you guys at the beginning of all this? I haven't heard anything about anybody else. Hit the like button if you have yet to do so. Salutes.
Theory out there, because I haven't heard any competing theory.
So law enforcement, a representative from law enforcement came out, commanding officer, and said, they're not entirely sure if there is a crime beyond concealing her death. In other words, there could be a situation where her death was attributed, and I'm not saying this is the case, but where her death was, let's say an accidental overdose, for example. I'm not saying that's the case here. Or she died under other circumstances, that someone panicked and took the body and put it in the Tesla. And we've talked about
it could be a whole bunch of things. We just need the answers.
Here, why her body was in that specific car for that period of time. The car was getting noticed. The car was getting ticketed. Was there an effort for it to be discovered? It's on this public street. Is he being targeted? You look at, the swatting incident too, or the alleged swatting incident too. There's a lot we just don't know. I agree with you. Once we get more results of the testing, the cause, the manner of death, that will be a very important component of this case, but we still don't even know all the circumstances surrounding it and what is going on. But we're continuing to stay on top of it and hopefully get answers sooner rather than later. Let me actually add this. Hopefully her family gets answers sooner rather than later. Matthew Saracen, thank you so much for taking the time. Really appreciate it.
Shout out Matthew Celest, you killed it. You saying the right shit.
Thank you.
One more thing. We have been wondering if David is actually being targeted, if he's being harassed, right? So the idea of why was this body found in his car, public street, public place? Did someone want it to be found there? The idea of the alleged swatting incident in Texas. Well, we did something in our previous episode of Sidebar. I'll give you a little sample of it. We spoke with Jennifer Owen, who is a audio expert, a video expert, and this was her conclusion about the person who called 911, okay, about whether they were masking their voice using technology. Take a listen. All right, Jennifer, let's start here. Is someone concealing their voice in this 911 call?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
and how do you know what are they doing to mask their?
Shout out, Zorada, no sé, does it? Velez, that bolsita got Velez sounding like Kermit the Frog and shit.
No mommy's wake.
We ain't heard his voice, man. For all we know, he's hitting that high octave on the bolsita and shit.
Voice.
Well, first and foremost, just listening to it as either a lay person or if you were a forensic audio analyst, it's the robotic inflection.
When you're listening to that recording, are you suggesting A, it is a real life person using a piece of technology to mask their true voice, or is this AI?
I think it would be easy for 911 operators across the country to get some developers to come up with some software that'll instantly tell you if somebody's masking their voice during the call. I don't think that should be a problem. AI, right? The fuck are we talking about here?
Generated.
Well, it could be either, but just from my experience and, 30 years of doing this, it sounded like a voice changer to me.
Okay.
It sounded like a voice changer. And the reason why it sounded like a voice changer is because it all had to do with pitch. And for those of you at home, real simple, pitch is how high or how low your voice can go. And that's real easy to change. Real easy to change. You can do that with, a free app, a 99-cent app. You can do that with forensic software. If you make music, you can do that. You can do that on your WavePad. You can do that on anything. So pitch is basically just the degree of high or low of the voice. And that's the easiest way to start. But I have a sample here that I want to show you how easy it is and how by looking at it, we can say, wait a second, this is our first clue. This is the first red flag. I'm going to put this in forensic software and I'm just going to take a look at the voice formats and say, hey, how was this done?
So is this you saying this may be how the voice was changed using this piece of technology, this program? Is that what you're showing us?
It's very possible.
Okay, so show it to us.
Okay, then show me a fucking program that can detect this shit on a 911 call.
All right, so there you go. We'll see what happens next in this continuing story.
What was that?
No.
What's us? All right, so there you go. We'll see what happens next in this continuing story. Thank you so much for joining us here on All
right, man. AKA, nobody knows shit. Nobody knows what's going on, man. Nobody knows what's going on. There's nothing in that story. Not yet. Not being told to us. No, what's it called? Excuse me. No, you know. What's the word? Nobody in on it with him has been announced. The thing with the houses, the lawyers, yeah, that's him getting ready. I'm telling you, I feel like he's sitting around like what they're waiting on. Has he been seen? Have they put cameras on him? You don't think that if he walked out of a building in the last month or since he shut down his tour, you don't think that that fool would have been on tape, on TMZ's tape somewhere? What? Shut up, Velez. It said transparency. You got to give me more context. Okay? Drinking. It's one word questions and shit. You saying we need more transparency from the investigation? Man. But there's already so much there. She is literally on the stream with you. Is that her? Okay, if that's her, then she is literally on the stream with you. Why is she in your kitchen? Why? She's a missing person at that point. Even if she wasn't. She was a 14-year-old, 13-year-old, 12-year-old, 11, 10. What? I don't get it. Don't fucking get it. Hit the like button if you have yet to do so. Honey's up in the chat for y'all. I appreciate y'all for hanging out. Alright, I got another beer and a shot to get in before I get out of here. We've been here 10 minutes short of 2 hours. I don't know what they're holding back, what they know, what they don't know, but I see plenty of evidence. She's in his car, for fuck's sake. All right. Shout out Shannon. There's another video there talking about the lawyers. Let me see if there's anything before that. No. Let's check this out.
I'm not really a cupcake, but I am super baked, thanks to Mood Can.
Mood is third-party tested, so you know it's safe.
And it ships legally and discreetly to your door, so you can say hi to your neighbor.
6 weeks after the tragic discovery of teenager Celest Rivas Hernandez's body in a Tesla linked to rising singer David, the investigation is now taking
6 weeks is crazy. My bad. 6 weeks is crazy. 6 weeks. What?
6 weeks after the tragic discovery of teenager Celest Rivas Hernandez's body in a Tesla linked to rising singer David, the investigation is now taking a new turn. Frustrated by what he calls a lack of information from police, the owner of the Hollywood Hills mansion where David had apparently been staying has hired a private investigator to dig into the property, review surveillance, interview potential witnesses in hopes of uncovering critical details that may have gone unnoticed. We are going to be speaking to the former Natalie Holloway private investigator, TJ Ward, to break down what this kind of private investigation can reveal and what we can expect. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. The investigation into Houston-born singer David, real name David Anthony Burke, is taking yet another turn. Weeks after the body of 14-year-old Celest Rivas Hernandez was found decomposed inside of a Tesla that was reportedly registered to him, there is now a new development. A development that could shift the entire focus of this case. Has to do with the Los Angeles home that David was apparently renting out just before the discovery of the body in the Tesla. Someone is reportedly being brought in behind the scenes to dig for answers. And we're going to get to that. But first, here's how all this began, okay? September 8th, LAPD officers were called.
Shut up, Zoraida. La bolsita can affect your thyroid, mimicking hyperthyroidism. It causes severe symptoms and like very high fever, rapid heart rate, confusion, requiring immediate emergency medical treatment. Qué chulada sentirse así. Te falta el aire. Yo, you wildin' the entire fuck out, boy. Do hood rat
But I wanted to do hood rat stuff with my friend.
Too much information and shit. But that's got me doing research over here. You learn something new every day. Shout out there. I never got a notification, by the way, this live started. I'm telling you, man, listen. The people that did get the notification when they got here, the shit wasn't connecting. The tube wasn't tubing. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Called to a Hollywood tow yard on Mansfield Avenue after workers noticed a foul odor coming from a Tesla that was registered out of Texas. The vehicle had reportedly been abandoned in the Hollywood Hills days earlier and was towed. When officers opened the front trunk, that is when they made a horrifying discovery. Human remains wrapped in plastic. The Los Angeles County Medical Examiner later identified the dismembered body of 14-year-old Celest Rivas Hernandez, who had been reported missing from Riverside County in April of 2024. According to authorities, Celest's remains were badly decomposed. So this is possibly suggesting that she had been in that car for an extended period of time. To be clear, her official cause of death remains deferred at this point. There appears to be more testing that needs to be done. But at the time she disappeared, there were rumors that were circulating linking Celest to David, this rising singer. There was apparent Discord chat screenshots and fan speculation suggesting that she had been in contact with him and they may have been in some sort of relationship despite the age difference, 20 years old. Celest's family told NBC Los Angeles that her 15th birthday was the day before her body was found, that she had disappeared after leaving home to see a movie. One detail that immediately drew attention is that Celest reportedly had a tattoo on her finger that read, "Shh." This is a design that appeared almost identical to one seen in photos of David's own hand. Since the discovery, the fallout for David has been swift and it's been severe. Both of his remaining U.S. tour dates, San Francisco, Los Angeles, they were canceled along with multiple European shows that were listed on Ticketmaster. A planned Grammy Museum appearance in LA also quietly vanished from the venue site. His label, Interscope Records, confirmed to TMZ that all promotional activities, including his deluxe album release, has been paused. His brand deals falling apart. He was featured in this Hollister and Crocs collaboration. That has apparently been scrubbed from the campaign days after the launch. In a brief statement, a spokesperson said the singer is cooperating fully with authorities, though no arrests have been made. David has not been implicated in any wrongdoing. He is not facing any crimes. He hasn't been charged. He isn't an official suspect.
Crazy.
And he's been silent publicly. We now know that he's retained a powerhouse criminal defense attorney, Blair Burke, who has represented a number of celebrities. No statement from her or from David's team so far. And as of now, 6 weeks after this grim discovery, there have been no arrests. There's been no publicly named suspects, no confirmed cause of death, as I said, no confirmed persons of interest. They haven't even identified the exact connection between Celest and David.
That's crazy.
And this situation, I will tell you, is rapidly.
6 weeks. And none of those things. Oh, we're seeing all these pictures. We're seeing all of these videos. This is that girl. And that's it. We don't got nothing. The dude just broke it down. He just gave you a list of the nothing that we got in this situation. That little girl been failed so many times.
Evolving, and it seems behind the scenes. Because now, in the weeks since Celest's body was found, there are new details that are beginning to surface. By the way, we have been on top of this story from the beginning. We're always trying to provide you updates, developments as they happen, and the reason that we can do that, this is article I know about.
So you think you know Wix, but do you really?
Shit.
First up, we've got
who's really driving this case forward and why it might be driving it forward. I'm going to get to that. But first, to help us break it all down, I want to bring on a special guest. I'm joined right now by private investigator TJ Ward, who, by the way, was the PI on the Natalie Holloway case. TJ, thank you so much for taking the time. Really appreciate it.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
Damn.
Now, based on your experience, and we're going to get into this new update in a minute, but based on your experience with missing teen cases, what are the early investigative red flags that you would have noticed, that you would have caught on to or highlighted in this one, in Celest Rivas Hernandez's disappearance, the online rumors connecting her to David?
Well, one of the things that you need to do after a law enforcement gets involved is start looking at everybody that's involved. You have to start looking at those people and who they may think may be involved or what may be involved.
Really? That's what we're looking for? See, when you start an investigation, you want to look at the people involved and see what they was involved in and what that involved. And if you got involved, then it would evolve.
So, one of the things that you need to do after a law enforcement gets involved is start looking at everybody that's involved. You have to start looking at those people and who they may think may be involved or what may be involved. So, obviously, this body was found in the trunk of this man's car. And now one of the things that we have that is kind of unique is there's cameras everywhere. So looking at cameras and finding that there was cameras near where his car was or how his car got there or where it may have been is real important. But even when I get involved in cases, when I get hired, I always look into the person that hired me. I start looking into them also. That's real important. You need to find the background about the person that wants to hire you and why.
That's the illest shit he said right there. Everything else was involved.
Let me tell you why I tell you that. I have been hired or tried to get hired on people that have protective orders against them, and they want to hire me to find out what's going on with the person they have a protective order against them. So you have to be real careful and look at the person that's hiring you also to be able to get into a case. You don't want to get caught up in something of that nature. But that's what brought my attention several years ago when somebody tried to hire me when they actually had a protective order against them. And so I started looking at everybody that hires me. I look into them first and see what's going on with them.
That leads me perfectly into what's happening right now, because the new focus seems to involve this LA home that David reportedly rented for tens of thousands of dollars a month prior to Celest's body being found. And this leads to a new development I want to get into. So TMZ reports that a private investigator has been brought into this in some way, not by law enforcement, no, that the owner of this Hollywood Hills mansion where Burke was staying has reportedly hired his own PI after growing frustrated with the lack of information from the LAPD. So on September 8th, let's put in context here. September 8th, the decomposed remains of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez were discovered wrapped in plastic in the front trunk of Burke's impounded Tesla. September 17th, LAPD homicide detectives, they executed a search warrant on a reported $4.1 million Hollywood Hills rental property that David was reportedly staying at when Celeste's body was found. And this is reportedly near where the Tesla was. The owner of that property, identified as Mladen Trifunovic, apologies if I'm mispronouncing the name, he reportedly told the Daily Mail that he has only limited contact with police and is deeply concerned about what role his property may have played in all this. And this is why he has now taken independent action. According to reporting from multiple outlets, he has hired a private investigator to review surveillance footage and interview potential witnesses to establish a timeline of events and determine if and when Celeste was at this property. In a statement, he told the Daily Mail, "I have a private investigator gathering information because my family and I want to understand what may or may not have happened in or around a home that is very special to us. We are not interfering with the LAPD's investigation. We are simply..."
But he didn't care if he was in there on some other shit. You know what I mean? Miss me with the nobleness. He's saying, we want to know what happened in our special home that you rented out to a dude that, for all you know, had all kind of, baby oil activities going on in there. But, again, this is crazy. But you guys trying to get this bread, too.
Seeking answers, I fear, may not be communicated to us unless we use a licensed investigator. And he later added to TMZ that the PI's work is still ongoing.
But whatever, if greed, and that's just me, that's just a nothing ass opinion. But if greed, pushes the truth into the light, then so be it. If you guys got to fucking hire private investigators, do that shit. Don't manipulate nothing. Don't manufacture nothing. Let's get what happened. What's the real deal?
And that it's still early in the process. TJ?
When launching your membership, timing is everything. Last year, creators on Uscreen earned over...
Your reaction.
Well, I believe that's a smart thing to do, because they don't know from this point what law enforcement has or what their intentions are. So whatever reason, this guy who's now been implicated, maybe this death of this girl was in the back of his car. It's real important to find out. And I think you told me that.
See, he said in the back of the car, and this man don't know what he's talking about, and he don't even know what a frunk is, bro. Come on, man. You don't know what a frunk is?
No, mommy's wait.
And this guy who's now been implicated, maybe this death of this girl was in the back of his car. It's real important to find out. And I think you told me that LAPD issued a search warrant to go into the home and to search the home. Well, what were they looking for? What did they find? And what did they remove from the home? So for this homeowner to incorporate a private investigator.
Somebody go get Ron's other alter ego. Now I'm stalling. All right? Put some smut on JP's name.
Investigator would be a very smart and tactical thing to do to protect himself about this home, because now this home has become a piece of evidence in the course of this investigation for whatever reason. So this investigator needs to find out what is the reason and what did they find, what did they take out of the house, and what are they looking for. So this is real important. Right. Now, I'm sure they got the copy of the search warrant and the return on the search warrant, which would tell the public exactly, or law enforcement, what they took out of the house and what they did.
Let's be clear about something. What is there something that a PI, is there information that a PI can get that law enforcement may have trouble getting? Is there something in the PI's investigation that could be communicated to, let's say,
I hope so. PI, figure it out, man. Do some Magnum PI shit and figure that shit out.
Public, to the media, to this homeowner in a way that the police can't. I guess the question becomes, what gaps could a PI fill in this investigation that police can't, particularly when we're all trying to get more information about what happened here?
Well, let me tell you something that's real interesting, and just think about this. There's a lot of witnesses or a lot of people that may be involved in this that don't want to talk to law enforcement, but would talk to a private investigator to give them additional information. I believe that the investigator probably has an obligation to deal with the police if they gather new information and give it to them in the course of the investigation. When I know that I get a case involving law enforcement, one of the first things I do is let them know that I'm working on the case, because it'll be real important if you're trying to solve the case or trying to protect this person that, in this case, that owns this house. I think it's real important that you share information with them that may help them instead of hurting them in the course of this investigation.
Does a private investigator have to share information they learn with law enforcement?
No, they don't, but could become a witness. If law enforcement found out that you had information, you wouldn't be protected to keep that information from law enforcement. To give an example, a lot of times when I get hired on domestic cases, I let the lawyer hire me, because then all the evidence that I find is not discoverable, because it becomes part of the investigation. So if an individual hires me in the course of a domestic case, then that information becomes open for the defense or plaintiff to be able to get from me. So it's real important to be able to, if you're going to have a working relationship with law enforcement, you need to work with them. If it's a matter of learning new information that may impose his client, then it needs to be discussed and getting a lawyer involved with that individual and share that information with a lawyer and not law enforcement. So, I mean, you have to understand and take what's transpiring, what the goal is in this case. And the goal in this case, somebody's died, so law enforcement's trying to find out who's responsible. But again, I think witnesses and trying to find information for law enforcement in the course, if we're trying to find out who committed this crime, I think would be helpful for a private investigator to be in to gather information. Because again, a lot of people that are maybe witnesses or involved in this case don't want to deal with the police. They just don't want to deal with law enforcement. And I can tell you, law enforcement has changed drastically in the last couple of years. I was a police officer 47 years, and it's nothing like the way it used to be. I mean, look what's going on now with all these the ICE units. You got people trying to hurt police officers. I mean, it's incredible. Right. It's on the film. It's on film, and that wouldn't have happened 10 years ago. That would not have happened.
No, I hear you, and that's a whole separate, very serious and distressing situation that's happening across the country. Going back to this, though, with the private investigator, are there situations where PI's work could jeopardize the ongoing police?
I had to go get my beer, find a different flavor. I had to get the heno, right? I had to get dinner started. Did this man with the bow tie go off track and just just run off on a tangent and shit? Let me see.
If you're going to have a working relationship with law enforcement, you need to work with them. If it's a matter of learning new information that may impose his client, then it needs to be discussed and getting a lawyer involved with that individual and share that information with a lawyer and not law enforcement. So, I mean, you have to understand and take what's transpiring, what the goal is in this case. And the goal in this case, somebody's died, so law enforcement's trying to find out who's responsible. But again, I think witnesses and trying to find information for law enforcement, and of course, if we're trying to find out who committed this crime, I think would be helpful for a private investigator to be in to gather information. Because again, a lot of people that are maybe witnesses or involved in this case don't want to deal with the police. They just don't want to deal with law enforcement. And I can tell you, law enforcement has changed drastically in the last couple of years. I was a police officer 47 years, and it's nothing like the way it used to be. I mean, look what's going on now with all these the ICE units. You got people trying to hurt police officers. I mean, it's incredible. It's on the film. It's on film. And
Jesse's like, yeah. Hold on. You're getting mad political on me, Mr. Bowtie. Push on from that story right there.
That wouldn't have happened 10 years ago. That would not have happened.
No, I hear you, and that's a whole separate, very serious and distressing situation that's happening across the country. Going back to this, though, with the private investigator, are there situations where PI's work could jeopardize the ongoing police investigation? You know, you wonder, could this...
That's what all the 80s and 90s movies taught us. Once the PI got involved, the feds were frustrated. Once the feds got involved, the PIs was frustrated.
Unintentionally tip off suspects. Could it influence the police's work going forward? So if you have...
we talk about that with the FBI and the DEA? Maybe they were stepping on each other's toes with the whole mini league situation? Maybe not.
This PI who's now part of this, could that complicate the law enforcement's investigation?
Creators, take these 3 apps I built to run my business made with Base 44. They're ready for you.
Again, I would, if I was involved in this, I would make sure that law enforcement knows that I was involved in it. And a lot of private investigators are former police officers, and so gathering information, if there's something that would be crucial against this homeowner in this case, then I would have the homeowner hire a lawyer, and whatever information the private investigator found, give it to the lawyer so it's confidential. So you've got to look at that. There's a whole lot of pictures you need to look at in order when you get a private investigator involved. So what's the goal to find out what's going on? If law enforcement's involved, you got to find out if you're going to deal with law enforcement, and if there's something that might compromise the investigation, then there needs to be a lawyer on board for that private investigator to share that information with, so it becomes confidential.
And by the way, real quick, because I have you, I wanted to ask you a couple more points about this case. Are there limitations in a private investigator's work? You know, they don't have the ability to authorize search warrants or something of that nature, but their ability to actually get forensic evidence, surveillance evidence. You talked about how people might be more willing to talk to a private investigator, but what are some of the limitations that we should be aware of?
When there's an active case, a private investigator is not going to have access to anything that the police have currently held. I mean, just like you said, looking for fingerprints or other evidence was taken. As long as that case is open, you're not going to be entitled to it, and it's not going to happen.
Right.
And if when the case is closed, then you're entitled to everything.
Right.
That's sitting there that law enforcement has, but you're not going to get that. So again, a private investigator cannot do anything to violate the law.
Right.
And so, I mean, finding evidence that may be crucial to this investigation, the smart thing would do is turn it over.
Well, private investigator, supposedly a Redditor, found a key where the car was in the gutter. Supposedly. Again, could have been a kid on Reddit with a Tesla key. Talking crazy. But, you know, I feel like, I don't know, either they're doing an amazing job and we don't know that it's happening, or they're doing a shit job.
For the law enforcement and not trying to covertly keep it uncovered, because you don't want to get caught up in doing something in an investigation that may cause crucial problems for law enforcement. You just don't do that.
Appreciate that. Okay, so while I have you, I have to ask you about a few updates in this case, and it also helps with the timeline too. So on September 18th, the same day as that alleged swatting incident of David's parents' home in Texas, there were two dates, September 18th and I believe the 21st. This is around the time when property records show that David transferred deeds for 2 Texas homes into a trust under his mother's name. There was a second transfer that happened on September 22nd, not the 21st. And that's after LAPD had executed a search warrant on the LA home, again, where the Tesla was found. How significant do you think what's happening in Texas, and how significant do you think transferring those properties is to this ongoing investigation?
Do we know that this is part of that investigation? Has law enforcement subpoenaed anything in Texas? Have they gotten documents? Do they know about what happened in Texas? If they do, then they need to probably subpoena or gather law enforcement there to gather information and whatever's transferred across the state lines.
You think a PI is looking into that? The PI that was looking in,
Yes.
You think that PI might be looking into that?
Yeah, there's a possibility. Any and all information that law enforcement has that he may know. That's why you sometimes work hands on with law enforcement. And I've done this, and I get information from law enforcement when they know that I'm also trying to gather information on their behalf or for my behalf or for a client to share information. What's the gold in the case when the PI is hired? What is the gold? That's what the answer is. The gold in this case apparently was the homeowner was concerned why law enforcement was involved in looking at his home because of this individual that's being targeted about this possible murder. Then any information that's come out of that house, I think, is crucial for that private investigator to learn and to be able to use and transfer back to his client.
By the way, in case anybody didn't see it, the body cam footage that we obtained, it shows officers approaching this Texas house, David's parents' house, with guns drawn. They're expecting, a possible shooting. Remember, this is an alleged fake call to 911. And now this is an apparent swatting incident. Take a look.
Oh, so it was 2 of them, huh? It was a double bubble?
Go ahead. I got you covered. Come right here. There's too many.
So think of it as like a TV ad with a catalog component where I can choose on the Roku app and immediately.
Here, knock on the door.
Is this a different incident? Same incident? What is this?
Oh, there's a window right there. Yeah. I got you right here. I'm just trying to get out of this window.
But he's tucked.
Here's off. We got a phone call from here. saying
It's the
that
same
somebody
one.
was
It's the same
dead.
one. It's the same one. I see what you did there, Jesse. I see what you did there. You needed a reason to play this shit. You just showed him. You was like, yeah, now it's just swatting. This is the same video, just from another body cam.
Is there somebody else that lives on this property that has your address? What's your address? That's it.
That's it. That's what I actually got.
We got an address. There was a gunshot and a woman scream.
What?
I'm serious. That's why we came up here like this, because and then they talked to the caller. Whoever they were talking to said that there's a person dead.
No, sir. No, sir.
Dude's like, hell no. Go and check the premises. Kick rocks. Fuck out of here.
I think they know what's up.
I'm surprised they let them close the door like that.
Knock on the door. We need to talk to him. We ain't got time for this.
Ma'am, we got to figure out what's going on so we can leave, okay? I need you to talk to
We
him.
have calls dropping. Everything's okay.
I'm sorry?
That's weird.
For what? We're right here.
Oh, she's calling 911. Okay. Shout out Shannon. She's calling 911.
Very advised. We made contact. They said nothing happened here. She shut the door. Now she's calling 911.
That's clear. We haven't received a call.
I believe she's going to be in the process.
Go ahead, give him a call.
What did he say? Hold on. Get them captions up.
Very advised. We made contact. They said nothing happened here. She shut the door. Now she's calling 911.
That's clear. We haven't received a call.
I believe she's going to be in the process.
Go ahead, give him a call if you want to
Okay, I believe she's going to be in the process.
verify it. Okay.
All right, she's calling you now.
Yeah, I don't blame her. A little protection on her side. Call 911.
Go ahead, District 81.
There's more that went on.
Can you repeat, sir? Broken traffic.
Oh, that's not normal activity. If you were at the wrong address, they'd be concerned about somebody else. Like really? Like,
They wouldn't be concerned about nobody else if they didn't hear no gunshot, no scream. She's like, this is strange behavior. Scared behavior. Careful behavior. Also strange behavior, maybe. Because they're used to people, what's the word? Complying.
You know what I mean? Maybe they be trying to help.
Trying to help what? They didn't hear a shot. They didn't hear no one scream.
Tinder 42, sir?
Affirmative. Engine and Tinder 42.
That's clear, sir.
I'm gonna go put my rifle up.
Now you're going to leave your boy there? What's that all about? They done locked y'all asses out. Kick rocks, motherfucker. Your services are no longer needed in the community.
Oh, the bomb clot. The call we got was somebody was dead. Whoever called said there's somebody that's dead, for sure.
Northbound at SM 2979 at the gas station. You're going to have a trailer axle caught fire of the big rig. They are trying to put it out in the fire
Somebody sample that.
Sorry to bother you, but somebody called and said there was something. I mean, there was a person that where they called on themselves. You know what I mean? It was like, hey, there's somebody dead.
Someone's dead. Yeah.
Same angle, just a long version and unredacted.
That's what we have. I mean, we have to take caution. You know what I mean? Wasn't trying to scare you.
Lady, did you ask your boy what he did? What he was doing with that girl?
This house is way off the roadway.
Yeah, it's way off the roadway. So they would have heard something if something happened.
Open the gate and came in?
Yes, ma'am. I'll put it back. I have a gate just like it.
I think it's hard to get my country.
Yeah, when it's something like this, when they say somebody's dead, their life matters more than, you know what I mean?
I hear.
I didn't damage your gate. I just opened it. Oh, it ain't on their phone.
And this is not a Texas.
Yeah, it's an out-of-state number.
Someone's messing with us.
But whoever it would pinged here though, because wherever they call from, it pings and sends it to this.
So they're checking for a call from their phone to 911, but they're saying it pinged off of there. Pinged off of where? Off the radar? Off of the nearest tower?
What?
So like whenever you call 911, wherever you are, it sends like a ping that's how they know the address.
And this address came up to this number?
Yes, ma'am, that's where he was meeting. County to engine 42.
So is there somebody on my property?
It could be. We'll check the property for you. Yes, please. So we'll ride around.
Buddy said yes, please. Because if y'all leave without doing that, she gonna make me do it.
If you give me a layout, how's the property? Like, does it go further back? Like,
No, it doesn't go any further back. It's right here and then it goes right here.
The fence, they got the gate here and the fence around, which is a private fence.
Well, him and I will ride around and check, and then we'll leave, and I'll put the pin back. All you do is pull that pin and then I'll put it all back together. Thank you, sir. But yeah, no, I'll take it apart because when it's something like that, when somebody says something like that,
He's making it seem, they're making it seem like it came from that address.
Yeah, okay, so that was a false.
Is this them checking the property after they spoke with the parents? I don't know. I don't think they're gonna show us them checking the property.
Alarm? See, I don't like this kind of thing. So if I really do have an emergency, then
yeah.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Sorry.
Well, if you do have an emergency, you know we're going to be here.
Okay.
We're going to get here.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
All right.
Y'all have a good night.
And you can hear David's mother worried that someone might be on the property. According to a police report, officers, they stayed about 20 minutes after clearing the scene, never found a shooter, no one was hurt. It appears to have been, an alleged swatting call. The question becomes why. You have a few days later, that 911 call was released from that incident. It is strange. The caller's voice sounds distorted, maybe even run through a voice changer.
Waller County Sheriff's Office is Amber. Hello? Yeah, Waller County Sheriff's Office.
Hello, I need help.
Okay, what's going on? Where are you at?
My address is...
Okay, what's going on?
I heard, some, gunshots.
Okay. How close to your residence were they?
They were, right outside my house, and I think someone's dead.
Okay, what's your name?
We heard
Say it
this.
again?
What's your name?
Pinned off their address location. That's crazy.
Okay, what's a good phone number for you, sir? Okay, and why do you believe that somebody's dead?
I just heard, a loud scream, and there was, gunshots.
Oh, scream. Okay. After shots. Okay, but you haven't saw...
We saw this. This is where he talks to the lady about the voice changer. Of course he got a fucking voice changer on him. All right, salutes. Hunters up in the chat for y'all. I feel like everybody's just filling space and time with information that isn't on anything because there's no new information. And unless the authorities open their mouth or the PIs open their mouth, we ain't going to know nothing about what's happening. All I know, it's been 6 weeks And that's crazy. No answers. No answers. Rest in peace, Celest Rivas Hernandez. Boom. Hit this. My damn self. Everybody got their doc's name out there and shit.
Too much information and shit.
Much information. Well, I got another couple days to get that.
Millions.
Alright, tomorrow you won't see me. I got an audition, and then I got some content in the evening I might be doing for y'all. We'll see how that works out. There's one more thing I wanted to touch on before I get out of here. I got half a beer and a shot that I got to complete. Salute to everybody that's still here. Salute to everybody that dipped out. Alright? We ain't going to mention no names. We ain't going to put no smut on nobody's names and shit. Oh, I don't know what question that was, but I'm glad I answered it. Salutes. We did an hour and 43 minutes just on that topic. We always seem to do a lot, a long time. Shout out Other Pal on the check-in. Salutes to you, sir. Thank you for coming through. Shout out Out of Power. What the fuck happened to the dames again? Lo cagó el gallo.
Yo vivo tranquila con los pelos en pecho y la casa. ¡Cállate, hipopuerta!
Maybe we'll do that. All right. Salutes. So I wanted to talk about one more thing before we get out of here. Dubo's Tweaky putting out everybody's information.
Too much information and shit.
But we're just hanging out, doing hood rat stuff with our friends.
But I wanted to do hood rat stuff with my friend.
All right, let me hit record on this. All right. I want to talk about Arturo Gatti Sr. and Arturo Gatti Jr. All right. For those that don't know, Arturo Gatti Sr. was a legendary boxer. Had an amazing career for parts of it. But was always known as a showman, the show, a fighter. He was going to put on a blood and guts performance for you. There's a legendary documentary called Legendary Nights from HBO, The Tale of Gatti and Ward. I'm gonna drop the link in here. It's one of the best documentaries, sports documentaries that I've ever seen. It's an amazing story of 3 fights, not for championship belts, but 3 fights, just some blood and guts shit, man. And a crazy story of, you know, one guy giving another guy a shot and them becoming the best of friends type shit, you know? And again, I highly recommend Legendary Nights to Taylor Gatti Ward. Highly. Right? I dropped the link in the chat. Y'all can bookmark that and go to that, you know, on your own time. Unfortunately, tonight I want to talk about the demise of Arturo Gatti. And unfortunately, the reason that I am going to talk about the demise of Arturo Gatti is because his 17-year-old son this week passed away in the same fashion as his father. The question is it under the same alleged or suspected circumstances? I don't know nothing about it. All right? I know the young man lost his father very early in his life, and he was 17 years old, and he was boxing. All right, I'm going to play this quickly. I'm going to run to the restroom, take a break quickly. Jim Lobby's hardest fight to watch. Blah, blah, blah. Let's do this. But let's see what this is about. There's another documentary that I always, what's the word? Try to tell people about. It's a 48 hours documentary about the tragic unaliving of Arturo Gatti. And I always told people to watch it as a tandem. Now, that's a very hard video to find, and I haven't found it. When I do find it, best believe you will know. But we're going to go with this here. I haven't seen this. I'm going to play it now. I'm going to run off for a second, then I'll be back and I'll rewind it, and we'll go from there. This is called The Tragic Unaliving of Arturo Gatti. We're going to start with that. Let's get it. All right, shout out JP. Rest in peace to the Gatti family.
Future, because you're headed home. I'm Christy Nome, the United States Secretary.
Shut up. You got to know where the shit. The airport the airports in Chicago don't want to show video of her in their airport.
Fighter's life ended wasn't what you'd expect from. They called me Thunder, they called me a warrior, and in that ring, I never backed down from anyone. I gave the fans everything, every single time. Arturo Gatti was the ultimate warrior. He tasted the canvas countless times, but he always found a way to rise. But the way this incredible fighter's life ended wasn't what you'd expect from someone who went to war with Mickey Ward 3 times and came back for more. The final bell for this legend didn't ring in a packed arena. Because sometimes the toughest opponents aren't in the ring. They're the shadows of doubt and unanswered questions that linger long after the fight is over. And the way Arturo Gatti's life ended in a quiet Brazilian resort would leave the boxing world grappling with a mystery far more perplexing than any of his legendary battles. If the truth about what happened that fateful night in Porto de Galinhas wasn't properly investigated, if the full story remained buried beneath speculation and conflicting reports, then a boxing legend's story would end not with glory, but with darkness. A champion's legacy, forged in blood and sweat, would be forever tainted by uncertainty. His family would be left in a perpetual state of grief and doubt, denied the closure they desperately deserve. His young son would grow up without knowing what really happened to his father, and the boxing world would lose one of its greatest warriors to an unsolved mystery that stinks of cover-up and corruption. For his fans, who saw in Gatti the embodiment of fighting spirit and never-say-die attitude, justice wasn't just about knowing how he died. It was about honoring the warrior they so admired and ensuring his story wasn't overshadowed by a suspicious and unresolved end. Born in Italy and raised in Montreal, he came to boxing the way so many greats do, as a way out, a path to something better. But what set Gatti apart wasn't just his skill or his power. It was his heart. This was a man who would take 3 punches to land one, who would walk through hell if it meant giving the fans a show worth remembering. He turned pro in 1991, and from the very beginning, you could see it, that special something that separates the fighters from the warriors. Win or lose, easy or hard, Gatti gave everything he had every single time he stepped through those ropes. His left hook to the body could drop a horse, but it was his willingness to trade, to stand and bang when smarter fighters would have moved, that made him a legend. The fights that made him immortal weren't always the ones he won. Sure, he captured world titles at super featherweight and light welterweight.
I highly recommend that video that I linked in the chat. I'm telling you. Shout out JP. Salute. I appreciate you, sir.
Yes, he beat some of the best fighters of his era. But ask any boxing fan about Arturo Gatti, and they'll talk about the wars. The trilogy with Mickey Ward that left both men forever changed. The comeback.
If you've seen the movie The Fighter with Mark Wahlberg and Christian Bale got, I believe, an Academy Award for playing Dickie Eklund, which is the brother and coach of Mickey Ward. And Mark Wahlberg played Mickey Ward. I'm still waiting and hoping for them to make a movie based on the trilogy of Arturo Gatti and Mickey Ward.
Knockout against Wilson Rodriguez after being dropped and hurt. The brutal slugfest with Ivan Robinson where he fought with a broken hand. By 2007, after a stoppage loss to Alfonso Gomes, Gatti hung up his gloves with a record of 40 wins and 9 losses, with 31 knockouts. But those numbers don't tell the real story. The real story was written in blood and sweat on canvas after canvas, in standing ovations from crowds who just witnessed something special, in the respect of opponents who knew they'd been in a fight with a true warrior. But here's where the story takes a dark turn, because for all his strength in the ring, Gatti seemed to struggle with the battles outside of it. His personal life was turbulent, marked by passionate relationships and volatile confrontations. His relationships were rarely smooth, marked by passion and, at times, volatility.
Okay, I believe that, again, this is an AI documentary. I'm just trying to give y'all the gist of who he was in his story. And these pictures are misleading with what he's saying. He's saying his relationships was crazy, out of pocket, whatever. This relationship right here is amazing right here. You know what I'm saying? This is 3 guys that did 3 rounds in a year and a half. They did 30 rounds against each other, and they pushed each other to the brink of the end. All right? And that's Mickey Ward's wife right there. That's a beautiful picture. It's an amazing picture. It's an amazing relationship right there. So, you know.
Strength in the ring, Gatti.
Zorada, I promise you, you'll love it. You'll love that documentary.
He seemed to struggle with the battles outside of it. His personal life was turbulent, marked by passionate relationships and volatile confrontations. His relationships were rarely smooth.
Rarely smooth. Listen, his name is losing me right now. Fuck. Him and his coach had a good relationship, you know, until his coach knew it was time for him to hang it up. Gatti didn't want to.
Marked by passion and, at times, volatility. There had been arrests, domestic incidents, the kind of chaos.
Again, he wasn't with his coach, you know, from the beginning, but, you know.
Chaos that sometimes follows fighters when they can't find peace outside the war zone of the ring. In 2006, according to testimony from his former girlfriend Erica Rivera during child custody hearings for his daughter Sophia, Gatti had attempted suicide through an overdose. This documented history of suicidal ideation would later...
This is from the documentary. This is his daughter Sophia at the Hall of Fame, reading her father's plaque.
become a crucial piece of custody hearings for, according to testimony from his former girlfriend Erica Rivera during child custody hearings for his daughter Sophia, Gatti had attempted suicide through an overdose. This documented history of suicidal ideation would later become a crucial piece of the puzzle, one that Brazilian authorities would seize upon to support their controversial conclusion. In 2007, while vacationing in Brazil, a chance encounter led him to Amanda Rodrigues, a young Brazilian woman who would become his second wife. She was beautiful, she was young, 23 to his 35, and their romance was a whirlwind, intense and seemingly passionate. They married quickly, had a son together, Arturo Jr., and by all accounts, Gatti was trying to build a new life, a calmer life, away from the chaos that had marked his earlier years. But old patterns die hard. Whispers of trouble soon followed.
So Arturo Gatti Sr. and Arturo Gatti Jr. right here. Rest in peace. That smile right there has haunted me for years. Since I watched the first documentary about this shit.
Reports of domestic incidents surfaced, casting a shadow over their seemingly idyllic life.
Waiting for the new year to launch your membership?
Hell no.
That's too late. There's a golden window of opportunity creators underestimate every
No,
year.
mommy's wake.
There were incidents, police called to homes, arguments that turned physical, the kind of red flags that in hindsight seem like warning signs written in neon. Friends noticed changes in Gatti. Some said he seemed happier, finally at peace. Others worried he was isolated, cut off from his support system, living in a country where he didn't speak the language, dependent on a woman who controlled more and more of his life. And then there was the will. Just 3 weeks before his death, Gatti signed a new will that left his entire estate, estimated between $3.04 and $6 million, to Amanda Rudd.
What? $3.04? Or 3.4 million? Try my spidey senses feel as if you were close to putting smut on your name. Very, very, very close.
Rodrigues. This will.
So we'll just put it on Velez's name. We put Velez to sleep tonight. When night. Retire la bolsita. 3 weeks before his termination, or his unaliving, he signed a new will and left everything to her.
Controversially
Then they flew to Brazil for what she described as their second honeymoon. I'll read this. Rizzo then quoted, I don't know what this is. I would love to find this paperwork and go through it. Excuse me. Rizzo then quoted Rodriguez telling Gotti, "You're a loser. The only thing you're good at is bleeding. Damn, your mother's a putana, a suciedad, and your sisters are prostis." She got that Brazilian hot mouth, boy. For her part, Rodriguez described Gatti as often wasted on alcohol and rugs. In 2009, she filed a restraining order against him. Rizzo said Gatti complained to him in March 2009 that Rodriguez was pressuring him to change his will. Boom! Rizzo's his manager, which left his fortune to his mother and daughter. He said Gatti later told him he wanted a divorce. I'm going to play a clip from Rizzo about this. Since we're talking about this, I'll play a clip from the documentary about this. Again, both of them are good. The movie The Fighter is good. All right? It's about Mickey Ward and Dickie Eklund, though. It's not about this fight. It gets there, but it's not about this. But today we're covering, and the documentary is good. Amazing. One of the top 5 documentaries for me in my whole shit, is The Legendary Nights that I linked. So I'll play the clip of Rizzo since we're talking about this. 3 weeks before his unaliving, Gatti signed a new will that left everything to Rodriguez. The couple then flew to Brazil for what Rodriguez described as their second honeymoon. They were drinking at a bar in the Brazilian resort town of Porto de Gallinas when Rodriguez said she wanted to go back to the hotel. He didn't want to go home. He didn't want me to go home, she testified. He hit me and I fell. She rushed back to the hotel. She said police later told her that Gatti got into a brawl with people who saw him hit Rodriguez. A version of events confirmed by eyewitnesses who spoke to the CBC's Fifth Estate news program. She described seeing a bleeding Gatti eventually return to the hotel room. The Montreal judge, yes, he was Italian, but he was Canadian. The Montreal judge stopped further questioning about that fateful night. The trial is about Gatti's will. The judge ruled, not his unaliving.
Inherit his mother and his daughter Sophia from a previous relationship.
I tell you what, they didn't smoke him out there in that bar that he was supposedly fighting in after he put hands on her. They didn't smoke him there. Not even a little bit.
The timing would later fuel his family's darkest suspicions. The move to Brazil represented a significant shift for Gatti, a new environment, a different pace of life. The couple traveled frequently to Amanda's home.
No, look, Velez is bogus. He went and took the phone away from his kid so he could let us know that he's watching on the TV and that the kid has his phone. You out of pocket, bro. Just put it away.
No, mommy's wake.
Land where Gatti mentions. The move to Brazil represented a significant shift for Gatti, a new environment. Amanda Rodrigues. This will controversially disinherit his mother and his daughter Sophia from a previous relationship. The timing would later fuel his family's darkest suspicions. The move to Brazil represented a significant shift for Gatti, a new environment, a different pace of life. The couple traveled frequently to Amanda's homeland, where Gatti was trying to establish business ventures. He talked about opening a boxing gym, about building a future there. But beneath the surface, the complexities of their relationship continued to unfold. Some close to him wondered if he was running from something rather than running to something, setting the stage for the tragic events to come. July 2009, Arturo and Amanda, along with their infant son, Arturo Jr., traveled to Porto de Galinhas, a picturesque resort town in northeastern Brazil. They were staying at an upscale seaside resort. It was intended to be a second honeymoon, a chance to reconnect away from the pressures of everyday life. It should have been paradise. White sand beaches, warm waters, the perfect escape for a family trying to find their way. Eyewitness accounts from that time paint a picture of a couple that, at times, appeared to be enjoying their time, beach outings, dining at local establishments. But there were also glimpses of tension, moments where the facade cracked. On the evening of July 10, the couple went out for dinner and drinks. They were...
Shout out JP Shy. I appreciate your honesty and integrity. Unfortunately, it came at my Higa Velez and his bolsita's expense. Mono con los ojos tapados.
Mono con los ojos tapados.
It happens, bro. You know, it is what it is.
Were reportedly seen at a local restaurant or bar. Witnesses would later describe seeing them at various establishments, and their accounts would paint a picture of a night that started happy but turned sour. Accounts vary. Some suggest a lively atmosphere, while others hint at underlying friction. Some saw them arguing. Others noticed Amanda appearing intoxicated while Gatti seemed more subdued. There were even claims of a heated argument between them that night. The details vary depending...
You hear that? Some said she was the aggressor, and Gatti was subdued. Let me tell you something. Went through this with the Diddy situation, and it was apparent in the Chris Brown situation. I do not condone or agree with what, putting your hands on women and shit like that. But women, you got to keep your hands to yourself. And let me tell you something. I saw a video today that was eye-opening, and I'm going to bring it up, and we're going to talk about it on the channel. And it was a girl, a boxing girl, that fought a girl that likes to try to fight guys. She likes to hit on guys. This girl jabbed her in the stomach, knocked her down, beat the shit out of her, and told her, go hit another man. Women that hit men, they don't go try to pull that shit with women. You know what I'm saying? Don't do that shit. Chris Brown has been motherfucking bastardized his whole life, and he was out of pocket, right? But the shit that I hear was crazy. You know what I'm saying? You gotta cut the bullshit. Got to. Shout out Ed the Hip Hop Guru in the motherfucking.
Are y'all ready to party? Let's go! Get your hands up! 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 Get your hands up!
Shout out Ed the Hip Hop Guru on the check-in. Said sound like his baby mama. Listen, ladies, teach your girls, stop that shit, man. Stop that shit. Right? But then, shit like this happens. Again, there's a whole 48-hour documentary about this. I'm going to try to find it for y'all.
Depending on who was telling, plaintiffs started happy but turned sour. Accounts vary. Some suggest a lively atmosphere, while others hint at underlying friction. Some saw them arguing. Others noticed Amanda appearing intoxicated while Gatti seemed more subdued. There were even claims of a heated argument between them that night. The details varied depending on who was telling the story, but everyone agreed on one thing: there was tension between them. They returned to their rented condominium in the early hours of July 11th.
Bite into real Wisconsin flavor with the new roasted garlic and bacon pub burger at Culver's.
Damn, boy, I went to Culver's with my niece. I didn't have that shit. I should have.
Let's play with fun.
I had some bogus shit. I should have done a video on that. They threw the cheese on there. Cheese wasn't melted. You don't melt my cheese, fuck out my face, man.
Fire.
Their son was with them. What happened next depends on who you believe, and that's where this story transforms from tragedy to mystery. The official timeline states that in the early hours of July 11th, Amanda Rodriguez alerted authorities, claiming she had found Arturo Gatti dead. According to Amanda, she awoke on the morning to find her husband unresponsive. He was in the stairwell of their two-story vacation rental, a leather strap from her purse, specifically a bloody purse strap, around his neck, the other end tied to the wooden stair column above. Her version of events was that she'd been drunk the night before, that they'd argued, that she'd gone to sleep assuming he would join her later. When he didn't come to bed, she thought he was sleeping it off downstairs. She claimed he may have taken his own life or that an intruder was responsible. The scene that greeted investigators was troubling from the start. The initial police response led to Amanda's immediate arrest. The crime scene revealed Gatti's body on the floor with the purse strap nearby. Gatti's body showed signs of trauma beyond what you'd...
A purse strap. A purse strap. Not a leather belt. Not a double notch belt. Not a single notch belt. A purse strap. Hung a warrior. A motherfucker that fought within an inch of his life every time. If you're going to tell me that Arturo Gatti is going to take his life, I'm going to say he OD'd. Never going to say it was a fucking purse strap in Brazil or wherever the fuck he was at. You need to go to Culver's in the burbs. I was in a whole nother state. They threw that cold ass cheese on that motherfucker. Yeah, and then, yeah, oh no, she was a little drunk.
Yo vivo tranquila con los pelos. La cagó el gallo. Cállate, hipopuerta. Si la cagó, mira, hizo.
Where was this Culver's? The Culver's that I went to? Or the Culver that I just saw the ad for? I don't know where that one was. I know where I went. It was in Florida. Them motherfuckers threw some cold cheese on my shit.
Expect from a hanging. There was blood on the back of his head.
But I was having a very deep conversation about the future with my niece, so I couldn't even pull out the camera and argue about it.
She'd gone to sleep assuming he would join her later. When he didn't come to bed, she thought he was sleeping it off downstairs. She claimed he may have taken his own life or that an intruder was responsible. The scene that greeted investigators was troubling from the start. The initial police response led to Amanda's immediate arrest. The crime scene revealed Gatti's body on the floor with the purse strap nearby. Gatti's body showed signs of trauma beyond what you'd expect from a hanging. There was blood on the back of his head, a significant bump that raised him.
I saw the images. They showed them in the documentary. I don't know how the shit's on YouTube. I hope it stays there. El Tubo, you gotta loosen the fuck up, man. Figure out how to make this shit for adults and separate the kids and make sure those two lines don't get fucking crossed or blurred. You got all the money in the world and you can't do that shit. You know what I'm saying? But those pictures are in that documentary, man. And you know, JP, I put the link in here. Shai, are you thinking about this documentary, Thunder, The Life and Death? No. I'm thinking about HBO's Legendary Nights, Gatti versus Ward. Here's the link. Shout out Ed the Hip Hop Guru. We got the best food in the USA. I agree. Now, people are doing better. People are doing better. You know, the internet has inspired the world, but, you know.
immediate questions. His position seemed awkward, almost impossible for a
now
suicide.
are you talking about? Because there's 2 documentaries, JP. One is Legendary Nights, Gatti versus Ward, and the other is a 48 Hours documentary. And let me tell you what the name is. I don't know. Hold on, but there's other documentaries we can watch and react to. I don't know if this is the one you're talking about, JP. I see one that says The Mysterious Unaliving of Arturo Gatti. I guess that's the darker side of boxing. We got some shit to look at. And I think I see the one you're talking about, Thunder. Yes, I see it. But that ain't it. They might have the same shit in there, but that ain't it. There was one, so I'll tell y'all the context of the one that I used to watch that I can't find anymore. That I found on their website earlier today, but the video ain't there. It just adds over and over and over. The reason this documentary comes up is because after people would watch, after I would have people watch Gatti Ward, Legendary Nights, I would have them watch this 48 Hours documentary, and I would ask all the women in my life, mothers, sisters, aunts, I would ask them, hey man, you believe that smile? And I would ask them about his wife. Shout out Zorada. I'm sorry you had a bad experience. I would have called and got a free meal for you next time. What's up? You plugged? You plugged with Culver's? Tell Culver's I want to go make a video over there. That's how they can apologize to me, by letting me make a video over there, right? Hit the like button if you have yet to do so, y'all. Shout out Zorada. Got pulled with the motherfucking Culver's.
Side. Meet backed up to Amanda's immediate arrest. The crime scene revealed Gatti's body on the floor with the purse strap nearby. Gatti's body showed signs of trauma beyond what you'd expect from a hanging. There was blood on the back of his head, a significant bump that raised immediate questions. His position seemed awkward, almost impossible for a suicide. The height of the alleged hanging point, the strap tied at a height that would have required him to maintain an uncomfortable position to complete the act. The Brazilian authorities quickly...
That ain't him. I don't know what the fuck that is. That's some AI shit. A motherfucker laid over a bunch of peanuts or some shit. I don't know what's happening here.
Quickly focused on the theory that Rodrigues had murdered him. Brazilian police initially arrested Amanda on suspicion...
They locked her up.
Suspicion of murder. The evidence seemed compelling. Witnesses had seen them fighting. There were signs of a struggle.
Hold on.
The evidence seemed compelling. Witnesses had seen...
Come on, man. Look at this fucking strap. Look at this strap. A strap is a strap, right? So then how he get the back of his shit busted?
Them fighting, there were signs of a struggle, and her story had inconsistencies.
Look, a knife, and I guess that's the knife she used supposedly to cut him down with.
Initially arrested Amanda on suspicion of murder. The evidence seemed compelling. Witnesses had seen them fighting. There were signs of a struggle, and her story had inconsistencies. She was held for nearly 3 weeks as investigators tried to piece together what had happened in those early morning hours. But then, in a stunning reversal that shocked Gatti's family and the boxing world, Brazilian authorities announced they were releasing Amanda and closing the case. Their conclusion? Arturo Gatti, the warrior who had never quit in the ring, who had come back from beatings that would have broken lesser men, had taken his own life in a drunken, despondent moment.
You're talking about a dude that was a heavy partier, heavy drinker, heavy fighter. He was gonna go out, till he couldn't go no more. He gonna go home and wrap a purse strap around his neck? Get the fuck out of here. And bust himself in the back of the head?
The official verdict was suicide, but nothing about it made sense to those who knew Gatti best. His family immediately challenged the findings, hiring their own investigators and forensic experts. What they found only deepened the mystery. The blood alcohol content in Gatti's body was 0.29, extremely high, enough to severely impair anyone's motor functions. How could a man that drunk...
Man, my shit 0.5 right now. Fuck we talking about?
Managed to fashion a noose from a purse strap and maintain the awkward position necessary to hang himself from that particular spot. The head injury troubled forensic experts.
Nope.
The Brazilian police said it could have been caused by falling after he hanged himself, but the blood pattern suggested otherwise. Some experts believed it indicated he was struck before death, not after.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
Then there was the strap itself. It was from Amanda's purse, yes, but witnesses said she'd been carrying that purse all evening. When did it break? How did it end up around Gatti's neck? The knots were complex, not the kind a heavily intoxicated person would likely manage.
So he's lit, he's 0.2 whatever, and he's making all these knots and shit. Miss me with the bullshit.
More troubling still were the injuries on Gatti's body that seemed consistent with a struggle. Scratches, bruises, marks that suggested he hadn't gone quietly into that dark night. His family's investigator found evidence that hadn't been properly documented by Brazilian police, questions that hadn't been asked, witnesses who hadn't been thoroughly interviewed. But perhaps most damning was what happened after. Amanda Rodrigues, cleared of all charges, quickly moved to collect Gatti's estate. She produced a will that left her everything, a will that Gatti's family claimed was suspicious. She left Brazil with their son and Gatti's fortune, cutting off contact with his family, denying them access to the child, and refusing to answer any more questions about that night. So what really happened to Arturo Gatti? The theories are as numerous as they are troubling. The suicide theory, endorsed by Brazilian authorities, painted a picture of a troubled man who, in a moment of drunken despair after a fight with his wife, took his own life. They pointed to his history of volatile relationships, his struggles with alcohol, the pressures of retirement. But those who knew him best said this wasn't the Gatti they knew. He loved his son, was excited about business ventures, had plans for the future. And the physical evidence just didn't add up. The murder theory, believed by Gatti's family and many independent investigators, suggested Amanda killed him during a domestic dispute and then staged the scene. The head injury, the defensive wounds, the awkward positioning of the body, all pointed to homicide rather than suicide. Some speculated about life insurance policies.
Now that's not her, that's his that's his first baby mama.
About control of his estate, about a relationship that had turned toxic and violent. There were darker theories too. Some wondered if Gatti had gotten involved in something dangerous in Brazil, if his business ventures had put him crosswise with the wrong people. Others questioned whether the rushed investigation and quick closure of the case suggested corruption, a cover-up, powerful people who wanted this story to go away. Private investigators hired by the family found troubling inconsistencies, witnesses who changed their stories, evidence that disappeared, photos that didn't match the official reports. A Canadian government forensic expert who reviewed the case concluded that the scene was more consistent with homicide than suicide. Arturo Gatti was buried in Montreal, thousands of fans coming to pay their respects to the warrior who had given them so many unforgettable nights. His family continued to fight for justice, for answers, for the truth about what happened in that Brazilian resort. But they were fighting an uphill battle against a foreign legal system, a closed case, and a widow who controlled the narrative and the estate. Amanda Rodrigues inherited Gatti's fortune, that $3.04 to $6 million estate that the new will, signed just 3 weeks before his death, had left entirely to her. She won the subsequent legal battle over the will's validity, despite the family's protests about its suspicious timing and the disinheritance of Gatti's mother and daughter Sophia.
There he is, Arturo Gatti Jr., rest in peace. Arturo Gatti Sr., rest in peace. This smile haunts me.
She soon left Brazil, moved on with her life, eventually remarrying, raising the son Gatti would never see grow up. She stuck to her story, a tragic suicide by a troubled man with a documented history of suicidal thoughts. When pressed, she pointed to the Brazilian investigation that cleared her. She has maintained her innocence throughout. Case closed as far as she was concerned. The boxing world struggled to reconcile the official story with the man they knew. This was Arturo Gatti, who had fought through broken hands and damaged eyes, who who had gotten off the canvas when lesser men would have stayed down, who had never met a challenge he wouldn't face.
You already repeated that shit. Shout out Ed the Hip Hop Guru. Shout out, let my BM know to let me get some. Listen, man, you know, he might fuck up every now and then, but his intentions are good. You know what I'm saying? So you might as well, you know, let your boy, you know, get a little something, something. And look at it this way. You let him get some, he'll owe me a motherfucking favor in the future. And I hold him to that shit, you know what I mean? So, salutes to you both. Hope y'all have an amazing night and a great morning. And, you know, a vez en cuando no hace daño, you know?
Head on.
Just don't smile like this evil motherfucker right here. This an evil, deadly motherfucker right here, allegedly.
Yes, he had struggled with demons. The 2006 overdose attempt proved that. But would this man really have given up in the dark of night, fashioning a noose from a purse strap while his infant son slept nearby, just weeks after signing a new will? His family certainly didn't believe it. Pat Lynch and others continued to push for the case to be reopened, bringing in experts like Dr. Cyril Wecht, compiling evidence, refusing to let the story end with the Brazilian police's hasty conclusion. The Quebec coroner's report had cast serious official doubt on the suicide theory, but it wasn't enough to reopen the case. Years passed and the trail grew cold. Witnesses scattered, evidence degraded. The chance for real justice seemed to slip away like a fighter past his prime. Today, the official cause of death stands as suicide in Brazil. But in the hearts of those who loved him, who knew him, who watched him war in the ring and celebrated his warrior spirit.
I take it back. Pat Lynch was his manager. My apologies.
The questions remain. The mystery endures. The suspicion lingers like the phantom pain from an old injury that never quite healed. The impact on Gatti's legacy is undeniable. While his incredible achievements in the ring are still celebrated, the mystery surrounding his death remains an inseparable part of his story. What do you think?
JP, that's the one right there. Legendary Nights, The Tale of Gatti Ward. I keep linking it. Why are you looking for it? It's right here. All right, it's right there.
Was the death of Arturo Thunder Gatti truly a tragic suicide?
That's the one, JP. That's the one right there. Great, great fucking documentary.
The final, unexpected surrender of a warrior? Or was there something more sinister at play that night in Porto de Galinhas, Brazil, a truth that remains hidden beneath layers of doubt and unanswered questions? The evidence tells different stories depending on how you read it. The investigation raises more questions than it answers. And Arturo Gatti, the man who spoke with his fists, who let his heart do the talking in the ring, can no longer speak for himself. All we're left with are questions, theories, and the memory of a warrior who gave everything in the ring, but may have lost everything in a fight he never saw coming. Share your thoughts in the comments below.
Rest in peace, Arturo Gatti. Let me go to the Legendary Nights. There's a couple of pieces that I want to play. I'm probably gonna, what's the word? I'm going to blur it maybe. See if I can get away with a little something here. Give me a second. Boom, boom. Hold on, they're gonna clap me over the music already. Let me get these filters right here. Yeah, I always think ahead. See if that even worked. I blurred that shit. All right.
Knowing each other, fighting, getting in this trilogy, to walking us in the ring, being part of the team, and ending it as
Gatti best.
He's just someone that was full of.
We're supposed to grow old together and tell war stories. I'm just so happy.
He had a daughter, Sophia, that he loved to death. 2 kids.
The death is suicide, saying Gatti had hanged him.
It's just hard to see, you know. I'd rather not have the last thought seeing him like that, to see him happy, you know what I mean? But, you know, I just keep the good thoughts in my head about him.
After the fight, Gatti announced his retirement directly to his fans.
I just want to say that I love you guys. I really tried hard tonight, and you know how big my heart is, that I just couldn't do it, and I give my best. And I love you guys.
Shock. Shock. Couldn't believe it.
He's a legendary tough guy.
Tough to watch.
What is watching that?
It just that he's not here no more. You know, he was taken too early in his life. It was so sad. Could be enjoying all this now, you know. Terrible.
Boxer Arturo Gatti was a legendary tough guy, but even tough guys are not indestructible. Gatti found dead at a luxury seaside resort in Brazil today. A police investigator says it's unclear how the 37-year-old died, but, quote, "It's all very strange."
I was just in shock. Shock. Couldn't believe it.
God damn, the hip hop guru didn't work? Damn, she's a tough cookie. It's a tough nut to crack. I'm just gonna cheat already.
No.
Shout out JP.
Mono con los ojos tapados.
I blame Ed the hip hop guru and Celest for messing with my focus. They got you. Don't worry, they ain't getting it either right now.
Still can't believe it.
You ask yourself, why? I mean, why? How? I mean, what? You can't even put it in words.
Nearly 2 years to the day after his last fight, they found his body in a pool of blood the morning after a late night out in a Brazilian beach town.
Now they're showing the images here. The shit is crazy.
His wife Amanda, who he had married a year and a half earlier, was arrested.
He married her a year and a half before his demise.
Murder. Soon,
Hit the like button if you have yet to do so.
reports came out about marital trouble and a change that had been made to Gatti's will, leaving all his assets to his new wife. But
This is narrated by Mark Wahlberg.
weeks after he died, the authorities in Brazil ruled the death a suicide, saying Gatti had hanged himself. The wife was released from prison, and she made a statement claiming that her husband had been depressed and abusing drugs.
My thing with her when she came out of prison, you know, you come out of prison for being accused of taking your husband's life. You come out humbly, you get in the car, you go away. She came out, smiles, hands up. Hi. What? Relax. Shout out JP with the good advice. I highly don't recommend you go down that road. Right? Don't fuck up. Don't fuck up.
Now you see now, you done fucked up, you know that, don't you?
The ruling didn't sit well with Gatti's inner circle or the Canadian government, which led to more investigations and independent autopsies. But altogether, they were inconclusive, which left the cause of death officially a suicide. Even if to the people who knew Arturo Gatti best, it's still a mystery.
It's really hard because, you know, it happened in a foreign country. It's, you know, there's really not much cooperation down there. They did what they felt was their investigation, and it's kind of closed on their end. And there's so many conflicting stories. No one really knows the truth of what happened. But, you know, I believe in my heart no one knew him better than me in his adult life. I can guarantee you that Arturo Gatti didn't take his life that night in Brazil. He was killed. He was murdered.
I never believe it, that he did that. Took his own life, never. He had a son that he loved to death. He had a daughter, Sophia, that he loved to death. To death. He had a daughter, Sophia, that he loved to death. 2 kids. He wouldn't do it. No way. I don't see it.
Seeing the pictures, which were difficult to look at, and he just, you know, he finally looked like this crumpled little guy. But you looked at it and you said, that's not Arturo Gatti, that's somebody else. Because you will always remember him and Mickey Ward standing there in the middle of the ring, hugging each other, and then pow! And that's the way I want to remember him.
The funeral was kind of another one of these reunions where everybody got together again, except it was awful. All the same people that used to sit at the bar together and celebrate before and after each fight, you know, all back together again, and yet without him. And I remember the thing I'll never forget is we walked through the, past the coffin the last time. I was standing right behind Mickey. And as Mickey went by, he touched the coffin with like a little left hook.
He said, you know, I got you last. You know what I mean? You know, he's just someone that was full of life, you know, to see him like laying there. It's just hard, you know? Yeah, hard.
Of course, we had a tragic ending. The trilogy will live on, and Arturo Gatti will live on for a long time. And maybe in some way, his tragic ending was just a part of that great script in the sky.
Understand something. These motherfuckers fought each other 30 rounds in 11 months. Okay? 30 rounds in 11 months. 30 rounds in less than a year they fought each other. And they were not cakewalk fights. These dudes try to take each other out every time. Watch that documentary. Here's the link is in the chat. Shout out Raven. Salutes to Raven. Blessings. Hope you have an amazing maybe Wednesday. Shaw, you think a cloud around Gotti Sr. player Gotti Jr. and his ultimate untimely demise? I don't know. We're about to get to that. I don't know.
After the Hall of Fame banquet, the party Saturday night keeps going at Graziano.
I'm sorry. I'll take it. I'm sorry, it was a year and a month. It was 13 months. All right, it was a year and a month. So it wasn't 11. It wasn't a month shy. It was 13 months. Regardless, 30 rounds, 13 months. Nobody knows each other the way they know each other at that point.
Graziano's restaurant, like it always does. And two old friends are happy for more time.
This is just them at the Hall of Fame. That's what I want to talk about. Let's get into Arturo Gatti Jr. I'll find the story. Again, I don't know much about it. But it's unfortunate and it's sad. And I feel sad for Sophia, Arturo Gatti's daughter. Find an article. We'll go with ESPN. I'm going to knock this down. Let's get it. Arturo Gatti Jr., son of late boxing legend, unalives at 17. Arturo Gatti Jr., the son of late boxing Hall of Famer Arturo Gatti has unalived at 17. The World Boxing Association confirmed Wednesday. The WBA and the boxing world mourned the passing of Arturo Gatti Jr. His journey was just beginning, yet his spirit will live on. Now reunited with his legendary father among the stars, the organization's statement read, reports of the teenager's unaliving began circulating on social media and were also confirmed by Gatti Sr.'s former bodyguard, Chuck Zito, in a social media post. It's with a heavy heart that I have to say R.I.P. to 17-year-old Arturo Gatti Jr. Zito wrote on Instagram. If you guys see a picture of Chuck Zito and you don't know who he is, you'll recognize him from somewhere in the picture, from a picture, right? Because he be in the mix of all kind of shit. Right? This is Chuck Zito right here. All right, Chuck Zito. He's been in a little bit of everything. He's been in the mix in a little bit of everything in his lifetime. All right. Boom. Let's go back. Gatti Jr.'s trainer, Mo Latif, also confirmed the news in a post on social media. It's unfortunately not a rumor or a joke. Arturo is gone, Latif wrote in an Instagram story while pleading for privacy during this trying time. The Zone Boxing said it was deeply saddened by the news of Gatti Jr.'s death. Here's Gatti Jr. right here. I said that wrong. The Zone Boxing said it was deeply saddened by the news of Gatti Jr.'s unaliving. Gatti Jr. was found unalived in Mexico, where he lived with his mother and Gatti's widow, Amanda Rodriguez. Additional details of his unaliving were unclear. Gatti Jr. sought to follow in his late father's footsteps as an amateur boxer who hoped to compete in the Olympics before turning pro. He was 10 months old when Gatti Sr., 37, was found unalived under mysterious circumstances in a hotel in Brazil in July 2009. Rodriguez was initially charged with the unaliving after Brazilian authorities ruled his unaliving a homicide. However, the cause of unaliving was later ruled a self-deletion after the coroner's autopsy report was released and the charges against Rodriguez were dropped. WBC President Mauricio Suleiman also acknowledged Gatti Jr.'s unaliving to ESPN's Salvador Rodriguez. The World Boxing Council and the global community of our sport join in prayer for the profound loss of Arturo Gatti Jr. at the age of 17. May God rest his soul and help his family find peace, Suleiman said. And there you have it. And, when I got the news of his unaliving, I sent it to Oso, and Oso was like, how, Sway, what the fuck? And, he said, he was strung up like his father. Allegedly, I said that allegedly, his mother has that effect on men. It's unfortunate. It's sad. A young man with a legacy that he may have or may have not achieved, but a legacy that he had, handed down from his father. To go through that, it's crazy. Now, let me see what I got here. I saw something. Let's do this. All right, we'll take these journalists. Radio Raheem and Sean Zattel. Salutes.
All right, Raheem. So in some terrible news that happened yesterday in the boxing world, Arturo Gatti Jr. at 17 years old, found dead in Mexico. Really hesitated to even want to touch on this because the last thing I'd ever want to do is touch on this and upset the family of Arturo Gatti and Arturo Gatti Jr., particularly his sister and his grandparents. That's the last thing I'd want to do. But I also felt very upset learning about this young man's death. He was the picture of youthful vitality, a very handsome, beautiful kid at 17 years old. And, you know, you can't really look up too much of his amateur record, but he was having amateur bouts. He's been training since he was a kid. And if you look at his clips of training, the kid was nice. The kid definitely inherited some of the stuff that made his dad what his dad was. So conceivably could have become a professional. Looks like that's what he wanted out of life. And you're just left to wonder, you know, he was found hung like Arturo Sr. May God rest Arturo Sr.'s soul. And a very unsettling thought crossed my mind when I initially saw the report of his death before I even saw the cause of death. And I think a lot of people know what that unsettling thought is. If you read the article that I believe first reported the news, the UK Daily Mail, I believe it is, they reiterated that in 2011, Pat Lynch, Arturo's manager, the Irish guy I used to see him walk out with alongside main events back when he was fighting, he had his own private investigation on the death of Arturo, and what the private investigators concluded was that he was murdered, not death by suicide. And the then wife of Arturo Gatti was contained for 18 days in jail in Brazil when the death happened. And there was speculation from Pat Lynch, who did enough to have an investigation that found a different conclusion than was found in Brazil. And so the thought went through my head, if a child is set to inherit a certain amount of money at 18 years old.
God damn. Woo! Shit.
Someone else want that money? Did foul play happen here? And just the mere thought of that crossing my mind made me very upset. I don't know. What were your takeaways, Raheem?
Unfortunately, in the jaded state that my life has been in the world that I live in, you know what I'm saying? Those be the first thoughts that come to my mind, and then I cancel those out if there's reason to. All right? Salutes.
But I wanted to do hood rat stuff for my friend.
Shout out Bustown BC on the check-in. I've learned so much from watching your channel, just about YouTube and how you're doing your thing. Just want to say keep pushing. I appreciate you, sir. Thank you very much. And I'm no gatekeeper. If you got a question, ask. Salutes. I appreciate you. Shout out JP. I remember Shannon posted this issue in the Discord on Saturday, I believe. And even though I read it, I couldn't believe it until I read the security of his pops confirmed it. Yeah, Zito. Yep.
First, we do have to give our condolences, our heartfelt just prayers to the Gatti family. I mean, how difficult a moment must this be? Of course, those of us who have followed the career of Arturo Gatti Sr. were just becoming aware of the young man, Arturo Gatti Jr., and then knowing the story from really the ascension of Arturo to his ultimate demise, and then the personal tragedy that accompanied that final moments in his life that are very questionable. Of course, it's easy for us to switch to conspiracy and suspicion and, well, this is awfully odd, to say the least. It's hard to not think about that and then wonder how this is even possible, that this could be true. The first death in the Gatti lineage of Senior was suspicious enough. Like, this is not, I don't believe, and I'm not, an investigator or a detective, so I'm not going to rattle off any stats for you, but I'm just going to say...
And for the record, neither am I.
Culturally...
Hit the like button if you have yet to do so. Salutes.
I don't think these men are the type that hang themselves with purse straps. You know, that was the first thing that occurred to me, even in Arturo Gatti Sr.'s death. Not that it was suicide, not that there was blood coagulation on the ground behind him, not that really it doesn't seem like the way a guy like that would...
Radio Raheem is not an investigator, but he investigating, you hear him?
take himself out with his family in the house and all of that, but just that it's a purse strap. Like, it seems silly. It seems trivial, but I know fighters. I know I had the good fortune of meeting that particular fighter. I know culture. That just seems like if you're deciding that this is your last day and you're going to be found either hanging from something or on the floor, one thing that is not going to be your choice is to be found hanging from a purse strap of your wife, right? A young man, 17 years old, suspiciously aged at a time when he's right on the cusp of likely inheriting a great deal of money, or at least power over money that is coming his way. I didn't meet this young man. I don't know him, didn't get to know him, just saw videos, got a sense of who he was through social media.
Maybe, I might add. Maybe he was about to inherit something at 18. We don't know. Maybe, or maybe not.
It's hard to believe that at 18, after with a lineage like that, that there's nothing coming his way as he became an adult, right?
We don't know.
Or at least a
Sean is being responsible journalist. If you guys remember, this is the guy that came at Dana White about the Ali Act, and Dana told him, listen, you want to make an appointment with me, make an appointment with me. But he's being very journalistic right now. He's like, we don't know. We don't know that he was going to get some money. We don't know. But it's ironic.
Claim to something. However, to die in the same fashion is just enough to get us talking. And so, to your point, and I think you made it well, we don't say this to disrespect the memory of or to agitate the survivors of this great tragedy. It's just something that you can't help but think about, and a point that we would be dishonest if we didn't raise, because it is on our minds. I don't know. I don't know whether he's going to inherit money. I don't know whether there was foul play. I don't know whether he was depressed or not. But it all seems awfully damn suspicious. And I am proud of the boxing community that did embrace Arturo Gatti Jr. I didn't have an opportunity, like I said, to get to know him myself. However, because fighters and their lineage really have a hallowed place in our history and in the community, it's important that we look after those who live beyond those great warriors that we know. And as we've just lost Ricky Hatton in the very, very recent future, let's not forget about Campbell Hatton. You know, maybe Arturo Gatti, Jr. was depressed, and maybe this was exactly what they say it was, and maybe it had something to do with him becoming a man, trying to follow in his father's footsteps, and couldn't ever process the death of his father while he was in the house and his mother under suspicion. All those things could absolutely be true. I have no evidence to the contrary. But what I do know is that we as a community really have the responsibility to look after those who are left behind, either by natural causes or tragic deaths, unexpected, untimely deaths of those people that we regard, and talk about whether they should be in the Hall of Fame and break down the entire career that they've had and what they've given to the sport. Let's look after the people that they leave behind who really did miss something in their lives in the absence of these people as humans, as fathers, as sons and husbands. It made me think about Campbell. It made me think about, I wonder who's looking out for him, making sure that his spirits are good. And I'd like to have a little report, a little investigation into exactly what happened with Junior. But we just have to be reminded that it's upon all of us to look after each other. And if there is something, that happened here that is just what it appears to be, even that really is kind of like a tragedy and a blight on all of us. So somebody should have been looking after this kid's well-being, mental health, not just assuming because he was on social media doing combinations and seemed to have everything.
Yeah, but understand something. His mother had no reason to mess with anybody that would have that young man's best interest at heart. I have no thought in my mind that Pat Lynch or anybody that had to do, Mickey Ward, or anybody that had to do with his father's camp was involved in guiding him through his career in boxing. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Maybe I'll be proven wrong. But, those guys, I believe, would have had his best interest at heart. Shut up, Velez. Hold the fuck up. That's wild. if you put all that together, coincidental, they both went out the same way. Money involved, or is money involved? Only one person in both their lives that played a major role in both their lives. Man, terrifying to think about, huh? Could be a coinky-dink. Maybe not. Who the fuck knows?
At his fingertips and ready to ascend, that he was okay. Because another thing that isn't common in our sport and in our community is mental health. Attention. It's not thought of as a strong man's thing to go talk to a therapist or to admit that you're having a problem or to share with others that you're struggling. So it could very easily be that both of these men and both of these generations of the Gatti family couldn't communicate that and did something to themselves in lieu of getting mental health care that, could have been available and should have been offered. I don't know. But all we can do really is hope that in the next generation or the next opportunity we get, we look after those who are still with us. So shout out to everybody who's online, pouring out their memories and their heart for the Gatti family and, for the Campbell, sorry, man.
Campbell Hatton.
I know, it's a tough one, Brady. Like the Campbell Hattons of the world and the survivors of, all of these incredible boxing legacies. I myself am going to remind myself that I need to at least check in and look out for and ask about these survivors of these great legacies.
Yeah, yeah, and it was obvious the kid loved his father, even though he didn't even get to he didn't even get to see his dad at 1 or 2 years old. One of the last photos he posted was a photo of him beside his dad, as if he was still alive, and they could take this boxing photo together. And what'll raise in practical terms, I just think there needs to be an investigation. We can't just assume necessarily that it was suicide. Maybe indeed it was, but it needs to be investigated. And what raises an eyebrow to me is,
JP, what if I get clapped right now for what Sean Zittel just said, or Zittel, however you pronounce his name? My apologies if I'm pronouncing it wrong. What if I get clapped for that, for what he just said? They did it to Zaya last night. Boy, they on it. Bloodhounds at YouTube.
Both happened outside of the United States. I don't want to say this when our government does all kinds of fucked up shit and people get killed and it gets covered up all the time in the United States. But maybe it's that much easier to potentially commit a foul play in a Brazil, in a Mexico, where that raises an eyebrow to me. But condolences to the Gatti family. I feel bad when we weren't talking about Arturo Jr. before. I'm sure we would have if he was about to become a professional. I feel bad to their family that now this child that I never met, now here we are speaking about him after. I just want to point out again to the Gatti family, we certainly don't mean to upset anybody. On the contrary, it's more out of love and being upset over what we saw happen that we keep it on, that we're honest and we raise our eyebrows and say, could something foul have happened here? We would like those answers at some point in time. But for now, I'm sure that obviously they're grieving, and we wish the best to the Gatti family. And also, ask for forgiveness if some of the eyebrows we're raising aren't warranted in this case, and understand why we are raising them.
Yeah, it's worth a look.
Yeah.
Definitely worth
So
a
this
look.
is my
Absolutely worth a look. Rest in peace, Arturo Gatti Jr. Shout out IB on the check-in. Salute to everyone. Hope you're staying safe out there in Chicago. Salutes to you. Salutes to Chicago. Shout out JP and fucking Tubo be so quick to clap videos because of sensitive content and ish, but don't be doing enough to focus on helping mental health and real topics to push the conversation. No, they bastardize. We're having real conversation here. They bastardize that. And all the fake shit, that's what they want. Do that fake shit. Rest in peace, Arturo Gatti Jr. Again, we'll keep an eye on that and see what that is. Take my advice. Go check out Legendary Nights, Gotti Ward. Here's the link in the chat. That's so sad, the picture with his dad. No, yeah, man. Crazy story. And I tell you what, man. When I saw it, I said to myself, Wait a minute. Something's not right here. Hundreds up in the chat for y'all. We almost been here 4 hours. Your boy about to kick rocks, get some dinner, get some more work done, get some rest. Tomorrow's a busy day. Got some things in the work. I'll keep y'all posted. We hung out today.
But I wanted to do hood rat stuff with my friend.
I tried to get the hip hop guru some. He didn't get done. I failed him. And now he don't owe me a favor unless she caved, gave him some, and then he just don't want to owe me a favor and shit. So I'm gonna need her to, let that shit be known. If he's playing me for a sucker, we'll put him in the fucking bathroom.
Put him in the fucking bedroom, man.
We're down bad. We ain't put nobody in the bathroom in a long time. You know what I'm saying? We're down bad. Let me run through the chat real quick. Over here. All right, shout out. I know Shannon and Zoraida were first up. It was Shannon and Zoraida. Shout out JP, Velez, my brother Oso. Shout out Ronzo the Alter Ego. Shout out J-Fan. Salute Shannon. Shout out Big June. HG. Yuck TV. Tere. Zoraida. Shout out Vicente for the shout out Velez for the drink. Shout out JP for the drink. I appreciate y'all. Alright. Eagle was pressing me for stalling. I served my sentence. Alright. Shout out Miguel Lopez for checking in. All right, we got an APB out on 298 Sosa. Shout out Al the Pal. I saw Raven was up in here. Salutes to Raven. Shout out to the Nightbot. Shout out to Ed the Hip Hop Guru. Shout out to the BM. Want to give us a little quick synopsis? You trying to prolong the show. Want to give us a little quick synopsis of whether the Bartel really acting stupid? What you mean? That's a very vague question right there. What you mean they acting stupid? Hurry up before I put you in the bathroom.
Put him in the fucking bedroom, man.
Yeah, another APB on Macho McFly. Salutes to Macho. Hope he's playing it safe out there. All right, remember, guys, do not rely on thinking, oh, this video Shy's uploading, I don't have to watch it because it was in the live stream. No, I've been doing videos behind the scenes and they're going straight up. So this is content that you might have missed. Like what JP, what Velez is talking about, the bounty on the ICE agents. Stay tuned for tomorrow morning's premiere. All right, I made a video for that. And I have another one that'll probably be premiering in the evening, which will be the Mantas against the United States government. Again, do not take for granted that you see a premiere and say, I already saw that. No, that's not happening. And now we are in Espanol, so if they can hit the audio dub on the settings, I'm going to put a graphic up there so people know that we're in Espanol. Okay? Tengo unos gatos en los pantalones.
Tango el gato
Los pantalones.
JP, Bartel paying people over here to get ice. Take a nap, and then tomorrow, 10 a.m., make sure you ready to comment, give your opinion, and tell me if I should follow up on the subject and what we should talk about it. But tomorrow I will be premiering a video about that exact subject. Sounding like the deli guy. Tengo unos gatos, los pantalones. Yeah, I'll be the deli guy in Spanish. Shout out Shannon. Thank you for the live shot. Everyone have a good rest of the night. Keep your situational awareness on point and stay safe out there. Absolutely. Have a good night. All right, APB on Macho McFly 298. Shout out Zoraida. Great live shot. Thank you for the great content as always. I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. I'm going to be sounding like the deli guy, but they're working on making it our voice and changing the lips to go with the Spanish. This shit is out of control.
No mommy's wait.
This shit has gone left. All right. Shout out Miguel Lopez. I appreciate you. All right. Your boy gonna go get some eats and get to work. Again, tomorrow's a big day, long day. I'll do my thing. Hands up for you. I appreciate y'all. Make sure you're up for tomorrow morning's premiere. Here, how about this? Let me see if I could do something here. If I could set the premiere, I'm going to set the premiere right now. Let me see. Metadata's in there. Everything's in there. Cartels versus Ice. Let me see. I got metadata. Yeah, got metadata in there. Checks are done. Visibility. All right, visibility. Schedule. 10 a.m. Shannon be catching me. I be fucking up. 10 a.m. Almost did it again. Premiere. Set up premiere. Get my intro popping. I don't like that soft ass intro. Yeah, save that. Boom. Schedule that. Alright, boom. Here's the link for that. Will there be a replay on at 10 a.m.? JP, you wildin' the fuck out. A replay of what? No. There at 10 a.m. there will be this video that I'm dropping right here, which is a video that was not cut from a live stream. It was something that I did behind the scenes. So no, it's not a replay. I mean, it'll be there once it's done. Boricua Spanish? I don't know, bro. Deli guy Spanish. Shout out Miguel. Amor to everyone. Salutes. In Espanol. But no replay. There it is. Now let me see if I can redirect over here. Because I never tried this feature. But I should. Edit this. Redirect? Yeah, gotta redirect. Let me get boom, gotta redirect. I'm gonna put it right there. Bow. I put a redirect in this video. I don't know how that works or what it does. It'll redirect you to the 10 a.m. premiere. Alright. Right to the 10 a.m. premiere. Alright. Shout out Zorada, Shy and Chat. Blessings, everyone. Stay safe, y'all. Salutes to you. I appreciate you all. Make sure you go hit the like button on that morning video. Go hit that shit right now. Get in the chat if you have to. Do whatever. Go say what's up. And then I'll see y'all there, 10 a.m. If I miss it, your boy was up late or early. All right. With that said, I will holla. Peace.